Sharon,
Immediately, I
welcome
get
to
like a
Effing
million
Up. I'm
pings, phone
excited to
calls, and
chat and learn about
emails
your journey
like,
and
oh
hear what
my
you
God, I can't
considered as
believe you
effing
just
up
emailed the
along the way.
VP.
Thank
Are
you
you
for having
crazy?
me.
This
I
is a
would say
disaster.
there's been a lot
I
of
am
fuck
so
ups along the
embarrassed. I'm like,
way,
oh my God.
and I always like
The
to share
world
because
is
I feel like it's a
obsessed
good
with
learning
fast-track
experience for others.
success. It's easy to
Sharon,
think that
welcome
people
to
become
Effing Up. I'm
successful
excited
overnight.
to chat and learn
But
about your journey
let's
and
face
hear
it,
what you
more
considered as
often than
effing
not,
up
what we
along the
see
way.
on social
Thank you for
media
having
is
me. I
total
would say
BS.
there's been a lot
I'm
of
here
fuck ups
to
along
look
the
past
way,
the perception
and
of
always like to
perfect
share because
success
I feel like it's a good
and
learning
focus on life's
experience for others.
detours, perceived mistakes,
Sharon, welcome to
and
Effing
even
Up.
wrong
I'm
choices,
excited to chat
and
learn
understand the
about your
real
journey and
road
hear what you
traveled up
considered
the
as
career
effing
ladder.
up along the way.
After
Thank you
all,
for having
we're
me.
all
I would
effing
say
up.
there's been a lot of fuck ups along
Our
the
guest
way,
today
and
is Sharon
I
Cao,
always like to share because I
co-founder
feel like
and
it's a good learning
COO of
experience
Happied.
for others.
Sharon
Co-founded Happied,
Sharon,
a
welcome to
community
Effing
that
Up.
powers
I'm
events
excited
at
to
the
chat
world's
and learn
best
about your
companies.
journey and hear what
Following
you
her journey
considered
and
as effing
obtaining
up
a
along
degree
the
in
way.
systems
Thank you for
engineering
having
at the
me. I would
University of
say there's
Virginia,
been a lot of fuck
working
ups
as a
along the
business
way,
analyst,
and
and
I
a
always like to share
4-year
because I feel
stint
like it's a
at
good
a
learning
DMV
experience for
high-growth
others.
startup, Alarm.com.
Sharon,
By
welcome to
nature,
Effing Up.
Sharon is a
I'm
builder,
excited to chat and learn
explorer,
about your
and
journey
connector
and hear
who
what you
believes that
considered as
meaningful
effing up
experiences
along the
and
way.
strong
Thank you for
communities
having
are the
me. I
keys
would
to
say
happiness.
there's been a lot of
She
fuck ups
draws from
along
her
the way,
experience in the
and
tech
I
world
always like to
and
share because
strong
I feel like it's a good
execution
learning
skills
experience
to
for
lead the
others.
Happied team to build their
Sharon,
platform,
welcome
which
to
uses
Effing Up.
data
I'm
more
excited to
efficiently
chat
and
and learn about your
effectively to
journey and
curate
hear what you considered
exceptionally
as effing up
meaningful
along
and
the way.
enjoyable
Thank you
events.
for having me. I would say there's been
She
a lot of
currently
fuck
wears
ups along the
multiple
way,
hats
and
and
I
manages
always like to
HR,
share because I feel like it's a good learning
operations,
experience
product,
for others.
fulfillment, and supply
Sharon,
chain.
welcome to Effing
The
Up.
part
I'm
she loves the
excited to
most
chat and
about
learn
startup
about your
life is
journey and hear
fostering
what
a
you
healthy
considered as
company
effing up
culture within
along the
Happied,
way.
Thank you
and
for
hiring
having me. I
amazing
would
team
say
members who
there's
are
been a lot
also
of fuck ups
energized by
along the
Happy's
way,
mission
and
to
I
better
always
the
like to
future of
share
work.
because I feel like it's a good learning experience for
Sharon,
others.
welcome to Effing Up. I'm excited
Sharon,
to chat
welcome
and
to
learn about
Effing
your
Up.
journey
I'm
and
excited
hear
to
what you
chat and learn
considered
about
as
your
effing
journey
up
and hear
along
what
the
you
way.
considered as
Thank you for
effing
being
up
here.
along the
Thank you
way.
for having me. I would say there's been a lot of fuck ups along the way, and I always like to share because I feel like it's a good learning experience for others.
Why don't you talk a little bit about
Sharon,
Happy?
welcome to Effing Up.
Happied
I'm excited to
originated
chat
pretty
and learn
much
about
all
your
the way back to
journey and hear what you
2018, but it was
considered as
just my
effing up
co-founder at the
along the
time.
way.
And so
Thank you for
me
having
and her
me.
joined
I would
forces
say there's
because
been a
we
lot
both
of
just
fuck ups
so
along the way,
passionately
and
care about
always
amazing
like to share
experiences,
because I feel
getting
like it's
people
a good learning
together, having a good
experience for
time. Because
others.
like, what else is life about? She had already
Sharon,
started
welcome to
Happied in
Effing
its
Up.
original
I'm
form,
excited
like
to
branding
chat
and
and learn about your
everything, but
journey
the
and hear
actual
what you
technology
considered as
and
effing
concept
up
was very
along the
different.
way.
I
Thank you for having
simultaneously
me.
was
I would
working on this
say there's
dating
been a
app
lot
with
of
some
fuck ups
friends,
along the way,
experience-based
and
dating,
always like to share
and
because I feel
they
like
were
it's a
kind of
good
like, I want to
learning
go back to corporate.
experience
And
for
I was like,
others.
I don't want to work by myself. And so I
Sharon,
started just like
welcome to Effing Up.
looking at
I'm
stuff
excited to
that
chat and learn
was in the
about your
DC
journey
area
and
so I
hear what
could
you
either join
considered as
some company
effing
that
up
was like, up and
along the
running
way.
or
Thank you for
find someone
having
to
me.
work
I
with.
would
And actually
say
found
there's been a
Happy through
lot of fuck
Instagram,
ups along the
DM'd
way,
April,
and
and
always like to
that's how
share
our
because I feel
relationship
like it's a good
started, which
learning
is, yeah.
experience for others.
I
Okay,
was
but
like,
I have to just point out the irony of
Sharon,
this.
welcome
You're
to
working
Effing
on
Up.
a
I'm
dating
excited to
app
chat
and
and
you
learn about your journey
basically
and hear
reached
what you
out and started
considered as
dating your
effing up along the
co-founder.
way.
Like through
thank you for
social.
having me. I would
Which
say
is funny
because
because
like
there's been a
back
lot of
when I
fuck
met my
ups
husband
along the
on
way,
Tinder, I
and
initiated
always
it.
like to share because I feel
So
like
I
it's a good
DM'd her. We
learning
had no mutual
experience for
friends. We
others.
didn't know anybody, have anything
Sharon,
in
welcome
common
to
really,
Effing
except
Up.
for that we were
I'm
both in the
excited
DC
to
area. We
chat
cared
and learn
about
about your
food, drink
journey and hear what you
experiences, and
considered
so
as effing up
from there,
along
our
the
relationship
way.
just really
Thank
took
you for
off. She
having
was
me.
like,
I would say
when I
there's
read
been a
your
lot of
message, I was
fuck
like,
ups
this is
along
my
the
spirit
way,
animal.
and
We need to get
always like
together.
to share
And
because
so
I
I
feel like
actually
it's a good
started
learning
off as a
experience
director
for
of sales
others.
for her, which is like a whole other story
Sharon,
we can get
welcome to
into
Effing Up.
further
I'm
on.
excited
I'm
to
sure it'll
chat
come
and
out.
learn
I am
about
not
your
a
journey and
salesperson.
hear what you
I'm really bad at
considered as
sales. I get
effing
embarrassed
up
very
along the
easily. I
way.
am the
Thank
behind
you
the
for
scenes
having
girl.
me. I
But
would
I was like, you know
say
what? I'm
there's been a
passionate
lot
about
of
this. I want
fuck
to do
ups
this.
along
And
the
so
way,
started
and
doing sales,
always
working
like
with
to
restaurants
share
and
because I
bars.
feel like
Things
it's a
started
good
taking
learning
off.
experience for
Pandemic
others.
hit. Had to fire
Sharon,
CTO
welcome
to everything was a disaster. Me and April, who's my co-founder, were like, what are we going to do? We have to make money. We don't want to go back to corporate.
Thank you for having me. I would
long story
say
short,
there's been a
pivoted
lot
all
of
the way
fuck-ups
to where we are
along the
today.
way,
Vision
and
still remains the
always like to
same.
share because I feel
Amazing
like it's a good learning
experiences
experience for
curated for
others.
each unique group or
Sharon,
individual.
welcome
Happied
to
is
Effing
an
Up.
automated
I'm
event
excited
planning
to chat and
platform
learn
for
about your
corporate
journey and hear what you
groups,
consider
teams,
as effing up
organizations,
along the way.
communities.
Thank you for
And
having me.
the
I
intent
would
behind
say
it is
there's been a
having
lot
this
of fuck-ups
full
along
suite
the
of
way,
tools and
and
also
always
little
like
event
to share because I
concierge
feel like it's a
that's
good learning
constantly
experience
there
for
to
others.
help make your experience the
Sharon,
best it could
welcome
be
to
for
Effing
every
Up.
single
I'm
event,
excited to
because we know
chat and
every
learn
event's
about your
different,
journey
has
and
different
hear
goals
what
and
you
purposes.
considered as
Every
effing up
event you
along
might
the way.
want to do
Thank
or
you
have
for having
some
me.
sort of
I
different
would
vibe. And
say there's been a
every
lot of
event
fuck-ups along the way,
also should
and
actually
always like to
adhere
share
to
because I feel like
your
it's a good learning
company's
experience for
values and
others.
culture. And so we
Sharon,
use data to
welcome
do
to
that.
Effing
And
Up.
our
I'm
platform is made
excited
of
to chat
three
and learn
main
about your
components.
journey and hear what you
Ideation suite.
considered as
What do you
effing
want to
up
do? That's
along the
often the
way.
toughest
Thank
part.
you for having
People
me.
figuring
I would
out what
say
exactly is
there's
a good
been a lot of
experience that'll fit their
fuck-ups along
group.
the
Will they
way,
like it?
and
Does it fit the
always like to share
values?
because I
Is
feel
it
like it's a good
actually
learning
vouch for
experience for
experience?
others.
All that stuff. Second piece is tools
Sharon,
to be just
welcome
be able
to
to
Effing
access
Up.
like
I'm
RSVP,
excited to chat
feedback
and learn
links,
about
running
your
surveys,
journey and
seeing
hear
everything
what
in
you
one place.
considered as
And last but
effing
not
up
least is what I
along the
mentioned,
way.
just really
Thank you
easy
for having me.
communication
I
with
would
the event
say
planner.
there's
So
been a lot
that's
of
where Happied
fuck-ups
is
along
and
the
where
way,
Happy
and
came from.
always like to
That's an
share because I
incredible
feel like it's a good
story.
learning
More
experience
on
for
Happied a
others.
little bit later. I'm anxious
Sharon,
to dive
welcome to
into
Effing
that,
Up.
but let's
I'm
go along
excited
the
to
journey
chat
if we
and learn
could.
about your
I couldn't
journey and
help
hear
but
what you
notice when
considered as
I
effing
was
up
putting
along the way.
together
Thank you for
an
having
outline
me.
for
I
this
would
episode.
say
I
there's been a
rely
lot
on
of
LinkedIn
fuck-ups along the
heavily. I go
way,
back to
and
high school,
always like to share
and
because I
you
feel like
also
it's a good
have
learning
the job you worked
experience for
during high
others.
school.
Sharon,
And
welcome to
maybe I'm
Effing
reading
Up.
into
I'm
it, and
excited
you
to
have to
chat
tell
and learn
me,
about
but
your
I thought
journey and hear what you
it seems like
considered
there's
as
more
effing up
there.
along
And I
the way.
wonder,
Thank you for
were you
having me. I would
pressured as a
say there's been
child
a
to
lot of
succeed?
fuck-ups
And
along the
is there
way,
an
and
undertone
always like
of
to
that
share
in
because I feel
LinkedIn,
like it's
or
a good
am
learning
I grasping
experience
at
for
straws?
others.
I joined
Sharon,
LinkedIn
welcome
when
to
it was
Effing
really
Up.
new.
I'm
I've always
excited to
loved
chat
new
and learn about your
technology. And so I was like,
journey
this is
and hear
cool.
what you
Let me put
considered as
every
effing up
single thing
along
I've
the
ever
way.
done to show
Thank you
how
for
much
having
I've
me. I
achieved.
would say there's been a
Because
lot of
there was
fuck-ups
a lot
along
of
the
pressure
way,
growing up.
and
My profile has
always
always
like to
been like
share
fully
because
up
I
to
feel like it's a
date,
good learning
whether I'm at a
experience for
job or looking
others.
for a job. I just like
Sharon,
looking at
welcome to Effing Up.
accomplishments
I'm
because
excited to
those
chat
have
and
been
learn about your
milestones for me. I
journey
need
and
to hit
hear
this,
what you
this, and this
considered as
to be
effing up
marked as
along the
successful.
way.
My
Thank you for
parents
having
were
me. I would
Chinese
say there's
immigrants,
been
or
a lot
are.
of
I guess I
fuck-ups
am
along
too.
the
I came to the
way,
States when I
and
was 4, and
always
so
like to
my
share
upbringing
because
was
I feel like it's a
pretty
good learning experience
traditional.
for
My
others.
parents were always working really
Sharon,
stressful
welcome to
jobs and had
Effing
a
Up.
lot of
I'm
time for
excited to
me.
chat and learn about
And
your
even though they
journey
said
and
we were
hear
doing
what you
fine
considered
financially,
as
we could barely
effing
pay
up
the bills
along the
sometimes.
way.
And I knew this
Thank you
because
for
they were like,
having
oh, we
me.
don't
I
like
would
to use
say
heat or
there's
AC.
been a
We
lot
just
of
like natural
fuck-ups along the
temperatures. So I was
way,
like,
and
okay. Nobody
always
likes
like to
50
share
degrees
because
in
I
the
feel like
house,
it's a
but
good learning
I
experience
knew
for
from a
others.
young age I need to support
Sharon,
myself
welcome
and
to
be
Effing Up.
independent. I'm also
I'm
the only
excited to
child.
chat and learn
I
about
also
your
wasn't
journey
allowed
and
to
hear
have
what you
any
considered
romantic
as effing
interest.
up
So it's always
along
been
the
like,
way.
Thank you for
I
having
need
me.
to
I would
succeed
say
and do
there's been a
everything
lot of
on
fuck-ups along
my
the way,
own, and got a
always
job,
like to
and it
share
was
because
fun.
I feel
I
like
made
it's a good learning
money, and I
experience
got
for
to hang out with
others.
friends because I would recruit my friends for the
Sharon,
jobs to
welcome
make
to
more
Effing Up.
money,
I'm excited to
and
chat and learn
just
about your
enjoyed it
journey
and
and
enjoyed
hear what you
having
considered
disposable
as effing
income.
up
This
along
set
the
the
way.
mold for me
Thank you for
wanting
having me.
to
I would say
achieve
there's been a lot
high-paying
of
jobs
fuck-ups
and like
along the
stability and
way,
success because
and
I was like, I like
always like
having
to
money
share
to
because
just
I feel like it's a
spend,
good
unlike
learning
my parents who
experience for others.
unfortunately had to use it just to pay the
Sharon,
bills.
welcome to
Did
Effing
you
Up.
have a
I'm
vision
excited
for
to
your
chat and
future,
learn about
what
your
you
journey and hear
wanted
what
to
you
be
considered as
growing up?
It
effing
changed
up
a lot
along
over
the way.
time. So
Thank
when
you
I
for
was like
having
10, I
me.
was like,
I
I
would
want to be a
say
model.
there's been a lot
And then
of
I was like,
fuck-ups along
okay,
the
like
way,
I
and
am way too
always like to
shy.
share
I
because
also
I
am
feel like
not
it's a
tall
good
and
learning
slender.
experience for
So that
others.
didn't work out. Immediately after that, I was like,
Sharon,
I want to be an
welcome to
astronaut
Effing Up.
because I love
I'm excited
math
to
and
chat
science.
and
I
learn
know,
about
very
your
different.
journey and hear
But
what
then
you
realized I had a
considered
fear
as
of flying,
effing
so
up
that wasn't going to
along the
work.
way.
And
Thank you
then
for having
as
me.
I got
I would
older and more
say there's
realistic
been a
about my
lot of
life, I was like,
fuck-ups
all
along the
right,
way, and
I just want
always like to
a
share because
stable
I feel like it's a
corporate
good learning
job
experience
because
for
my
others.
parents wanted that for me.
Sharon,
My
welcome to
dad,
Effing Up.
this is really
I'm
interesting that
excited to
we've
chat
gone
and
this
learn
path
about
and
your
I'm an
journey
entrepreneur
and
now,
hear what you
has
considered
always
as
been this like
effing up
pseudo
along the
entrepreneur,
way.
Thank
but
you for
mostly to
having
make
me.
ends
I would
meet. He always had
say
these like
there's been a
crazy
lot of
ideas and
fuck-ups
he was like,
along
okay,
the
we're going to make
way,
some more money
and
by doing
always
this.
like to
They
share
never
because I
worked
feel
out.
like
And
it's a good
so life
learning
just like
experience for
eventually more
others.
broke. And I just hate that. I
Sharon,
hate
welcome to
entrepreneurship.
Effing
I
Up.
hate
I'm
taking
excited to
risks.
chat and learn
I
about your
want to
journey and
go to
hear
my
what you
9 to
considered as
5
effing up
and just sit
along
there
the
in front of a
way.
computer,
Thank you for
work,
having
and
me.
just
I
burn
would
cash.
say there's been a
And
lot of fuck-ups
yeah,
along
very
the
quickly
way,
I
and
realized that's not what I
always like
actually
to
want to
share
do. But
because
that
I
was
feel like
my
it's a good
dream
learning
from maybe a
experience for
senior year of
others.
high school after I'd gone to
Sharon,
college,
welcome to
all the way
Effing
to
Up.
when I got a
I'm
job. I was
excited to
like
chat and
corporate
learn
all
about
the
your
way.
journey and hear what you considered
You
as
went
effing up
to the
along
University
the
of
way.
Virginia
Thank you
for
for having me.
college
I
and
would say
graduated
there's
with
been a lot
a
of
systems
fuck-ups along the
engineering degree.
way, and
Was that
always like to share
strategic?
because I feel
like nothing I've done to this point in my life has been like that strategic. It would
Sharon,
have been
welcome
nice
to
if
Effing Up.
I was
I'm
able to think
excited
that
to
far in
chat
advance.
and learn about your
But I would
journey
think
and
of my
hear
one
what you
little target
considered
and I'd be
as
like, okay,
effing up
I'm gonna try
along
my
the
best to
way.
get there.
Thank you
And
for
at the
having
time,
me.
it was,
I
how
would
do I
say
get
there's been a
a
lot of
job
fuck-ups
at
along
a
the
corporate
way,
entity?
and
UVA
I always like to share
just
because I feel like
seemed
it's
like
a
a
good
good
learning
fix. It was in
experience
state.
for
It was cheap for
others.
my parents. It is a beautiful
Sharon, welcome
campus.
to Effing Up.
And
I'm
I fell in
excited
love
to
like the minute
chat
I
and learn
stepped
about
foot.
your
I almost
journey
went to
and
Georgia
hear what you
Tech,
considered
but
as
then
effing up
everybody
along
was
the
like, it's so
way.
nerdy.
Thank you
Don't
for
go
having me.
there.
I would
And I
say
was so
there's been a
nerdy
lot
in high
of
school. I
fuck-ups
wanted to
along the
change. I was
way,
like, okay, maybe I
and
can reinvent
I always like to
myself.
share because
And
I feel like
then
it's a good learning
engineering,
experience
like
for
I said,
others.
I went to a math and science magnet
Sharon,
school.
welcome to
Always have
Effing Up.
loved math
I'm
and
excited to
science.
chat and learn
Had
about
the
your
resources
journey
at
and
that
hear what you
school to go to like
considered as
engineering
effing up along the
competitions
way.
and
Thank you for having
do
me. I
research
would
projects.
say
I
there's
knew
been a
I
lot
started in
of
engineering
fuck-ups
school. You didn't
along
have
the
to pick until a
way,
couple of
and
months in.
I always like to
But by
share because I
then,
feel
I
like
had
it's a good
already
learning
fallen in
experience
love
for
with doing
others.
myself at UVA and having a good
Sharon,
time, going to
welcome to
parties,
Effing
like
Up.
wanting to be
I'm
cool.
excited to chat
And
and
so
learn about
I
your
chose
journey and
systems
hear what
because
you
at the time
considered
everybody
as
told me that
effing
was
up
the
along
easiest
the
engineering.
way.
Thank you for
Not
having
much
me. I
strategy
would
there.
say there's
And
been a lot of fuck-ups along
ironically
the
or
way,
coincidentally
and
or
I
however you
always
want
like
to
to
put it,
share
like
because
it
I feel
ended
like
up
it's a
being a
good learning
perfect fit for
experience
me
for
in
others.
all ways because I am like a Jill
Sharon,
of all
welcome to
trades. I
Effing
love
Up.
to do a
I'm
lot of different
excited to
things. I love
chat and learn
problem
about your
solving. I love
journey and hear what
thinking
you
about
considered as
complex
effing
whole
up
systems,
along
but
the
I don't
way.
like
Thank
thinking
you for
about
having
adjusting
me.
to a
I would
specific
say
area or
there's been a
industry or
lot of
space
fuck-ups along
because
the
then my brain
way,
is like all over
and
the place and I
I
have to
always
learn
like to
about
share
different
because I
things.
feel
And
like
that's
it's
how
a
I
good
ended up
learning
there.
experience for others.
What struggles
Sharon,
did you
welcome
face
to
in
Effing Up.
college?
I'm excited
Oh
to
my
chat
gosh.
and learn about your
Biggest
journey
one
and
was
hear
my
what you
identity.
considered
I
as
think
effing
I
up
struggled a
along the
lot
way.
growing up in an
Thank you for
immigrant
having me.
household
I
in
would
Northern
say
Virginia,
there's been a lot
predominantly
of fuck-ups
white
along the
community,
way, and
97%
always like
white
to
high
share because I
school.
feel like it's
I
a good learning
really,
experience
really
for others.
wanted
Mm.
to belong and to
Sharon,
Greek life.
welcome to
My
Effing
parents were
Up.
like, what the
I'm
heck is
excited
this?
to
Why am I
chat
paying
and learn
thousands of
about your
dollars for
journey
some
and hear what you
sisterhood? What is
considered
this
as
going to do? And I
effing
was
up
like,
along the
great
way. Thank
networking,
you for
great
having me. I would
connections, lifelong
say there's been a
friends,
lot of fuck-ups
just
along the
wanting to
way,
again
and
figure
always like
out
to
who I
share because I
was.
feel like it's
I
a good
mean,
learning
oh my gosh,
experience for
I can't
others.
even think about half the stories because they're so
Sharon, welcome to
embarrassing and they
Effing
make me
Up.
want to
I'm excited
cringe.
to chat and learn about
And
your
I wish I
journey
also
and
did
hear what
better
you
in school. I
considered
wish
as
I hung out with
effing
a
up
different
along the
crowd.
way.
I don't regret what I did
I would
because I'm still very
say
happy
there's
where
been a
I
lot
am
of
and with like
fuck-ups
my
along the
friends and
way,
everything.
and
It's just
always like
I'm
to share because
curious
I feel like
what
it's a
a
good
different
learning
path would have been
experience
if
for
I
others.
Mm.
had known myself more
Sharon,
and
welcome to
trusted
Effing Up.
that
I'm
I wanted to
excited
be
to
my
chat and
authentic
learn about
self.
your journey and
Mm.
hear what you considered
Looking
as
back,
effing up along the
do
way. Thank you
you
for having
wish
me.
that
I
you
would
had followed
say
more of the
there's been
high
a lot of
school
fuck-ups
you,
along the
or
way,
you just
and
wish that there
always
had
like to
been some
share
sort
because
of
I feel
meet
like
in
it's a
the
good
middle
learning
between the
experience for
college and the
others.
high school you?
Yeah,
Sharon,
maybe like a
welcome to
meet in the
Effing Up.
middle
I'm
where
excited
I
to
could have done
chat
better
and
in
learn about your
classes. I could
journey
have
and
spent
hear
more
what you
time with the
considered as
engineering
effing up
folks
along
and
the
the
way.
international
Thank
crew.
you for having me. I
And
would
I think
say
about things
there's
I'm
been a
passionate
lot
about
of
now, and
fuck-ups
it's
along
like
the
talking to
way,
people
and
who love
always
talking
like to
about
share because I
science
feel like
and
it's a
talking
good
to people
learning
who love
experience for
to
others.
Mm.
travel and are
Sharon,
international
welcome
versus,
to Effing
again,
Up.
not saying
I'm
most of the
excited
people
to
I
chat
hung out
and
with
learn
in
about
college
your
didn't,
journey
but
and
not
hear what
just
you
focus about
considered
what's the
as
coolest
effing
frat
up
to mix
along the
with or
way.
where should we
Thank you for
party tonight
having
or
me.
what
I
bar
would
all the hot
say
guys
there's
gonna
been
be
a
at,
lot
right?
of
Again,
fuck-ups
I guess
along
it's
the
like a pretty
way,
normal
and
college
always like to
experience, but it
share
was
because
just
I
like
feel
so
like it's a good
different
learning
than
experience for
what I
others.
was like in high school that I
Sharon,
just
welcome to
was
Effing
like
Up.
going through an
I'm
identity
excited to chat and
crisis,
learn about your
and
journey and
Greek
hear
life,
what
of
you
course, was also
considered as
predominantly
effing up
white,
along the
and
way.
there was
Thank you
always
for
this like
having me. I would
unspoken
say
message
there's
of
been a
every
lot
like
of fuck-ups
sorority or
along the
fraternity can
way,
only have
and
one
always like
diverse
to share
member,
because I feel
or
like it's a
maybe
good learning
one person could
experience
be
for
Asian
others.
of any kind, and one
Sharon,
person in each
welcome
class
to
could be
Effing Up.
black, and
I'm
that's it.
excited to
I feel
chat
like
and
I
learn
let
about your
myself feel
journey and
uncomfortable
hear what you
because
considered
was
as
what was
effing up
expected for me
along
to
the way.
assimilate.
Thank you for
Now
having
that I'm
me. I
looking
would
back, I kind of
say
realize
there's been a
it,
lot
but
of
I think it
fuck-ups
caused
along the
me to
way,
be
and
really
always like to
severely
share because I
anxious
feel
and
like it's a good
stressed
learning
all the
experience for
time and a
others.
little depressed because
Sharon, welcome to
I
Effing
was
Up.
trying
I'm
so hard
excited
to
to
fit
chat
in
and
to the
learn about
people
your
I dated,
journey
the
and
people I
hear what
hooked
you
up with, the
considered
people
as
I hung
effing
out
up
with, the
along
things
the
that
way.
were
Thank
said
you
to
for
me that I
having
just
me. I
let
would
slide and
say there's been a
accepted or
lot
even
of
joined
fuck-ups
along,
along the
or the way I
way,
treated
and always
others
like to share because
because
I feel like it's a good
it was
learning
what was
experience for
expected
others.
to. Of course, nobody forced me
Sharon,
to.
welcome to Effing
So
Up.
I'm
I'm
taking full
excited to
blame. It just
chat
made
and
it
learn
easier
about
for
your
me to treat people
journey
a
and
certain
hear
way
what you
that wasn't
considered
Yeah.
as
what
effing up
I would
along
want
the way.
for
Thank you
my
for
children
having
to
me.
treat
I
people
would
like. And so
say there's
I
been a
do
lot of
think I was
fuck-ups
just
along the
so
way, and
confused and constantly
always like to
battling
share because I
myself
feel
of
like it's a
wanting
good
to be
learning
like free,
experience for
open,
others.
Mm.
speak the way I want, dress
Sharon,
the way I
welcome to
want,
Effing Up.
all
I'm
that
excited
stuff.
to chat and learn about your journey and hear
And
what you
now it's
considered as
funny because
effing
I
up
feel like
along the
I've
way.
become
Thank you for
a
having me.
lot
I
more
would say
social and
there's been
open
a lot of
again and more
fuck-ups along
comfortable
the
talking in
way,
social
and
settings.
always like to share
And
because I feel like
pretty
it's a
much
good
since
learning
like
experience for
from middle
others.
school to even my first few
Sharon,
years
welcome
out
to
of
Effing
college,
Up.
I was
I'm
pretty
excited to
quiet,
chat and learn about
shy,
your
didn't like to
journey
speak
and
up
hear what you
ever in
considered
group
as
settings
effing up
because I
along
was
the
just too
way.
embarrassed.
Thank
I
you
was
for having me.
overthinking
I would
everything I was
say
saying.
there's been a lot
And I
of
think a lot of that
fuck-ups
was
along
because
the
of this
way, and
identity
always like to
crisis I was
share because I
having.
feel like it's a good learning
In
experience for
college, you
others.
took on a lot in terms
Sharon,
of
welcome to Effing
jobs.
Up.
You had
I'm
an
excited to
internship
chat
every
and learn about your
summer. Your
journey and
first
hear what you
internship
considered as effing
between
up
your
along the
freshman
way.
and
Thank you
sophomore
for
year,
having me. I would
you
say
headed to
there's been a lot
Beijing.
of fuck-ups along
Oh
the
yeah.
way,
Talk
and
a
Yeah.
little bit about
always like
that.
to
Well, this
share because
internship
I
was
feel like
more
it's a
of
good
a
learning
my
experience for
mom's friend
others.
Mm.
letting me shadow her at
Sharon,
her big
welcome to
company
Effing
in
Up.
China,
I'm
and that was
excited
a
to
cool
chat and learn
experience,
about your
but
journey
I
and
had
hear what you
no fucking
considered
idea
as
what was
effing
going
up
on
along
at
the
all.
way.
Not
Thank
only
you
did
for
I not
having me. I
understand
would
working
say
in
there's
corporate
been a
world,
lot of
there's
fuck-ups
also a
along
huge
the
language
way,
barrier.
and
I speak
I always
Mandarin,
like to
but it's
share
like
because I feel
middle
like it's a
school
good
level
learning
maybe. And
experience
this
for
was
others.
legit business speak. And I'm just sitting
Sharon,
there like
welcome
trying
to
to take
Effing
notes
Up.
every
I'm
day.
excited to
I don't
chat
think
and
I
learn
did
about your
anything. I just
journey and hear
observed
what you
and
considered as
realized like,
effing
wow,
up
it's cool to work in
along
a
the
big
way.
office
Thank you
and
for
have
having
money
me. I
and
would
ride the
say
subway to
there's
work.
been a
But
lot of fuck-ups along the
other than
way,
that, I was
and
like, I have
I
no
always
idea
like to
what's
share
going on.
because I
So
feel like it's a good
not a
learning
lot of learning
experience
there,
for
but good for
others.
my resume.
Sharon, welcome
You
to
took an
Effing Up. I'm
internship with
excited to chat
GE.
and
It
learn
was
about your
Information
journey and hear
Technology
what you
Leadership
considered
Program
as effing up
internship
along the way.
this
Thank you for
summer between
having
your
me. I would
junior and
say there's been
senior
a lot of
year.
fuck-ups along the
Talk to me
way,
about what it
and
was like
I always like to share
to
because I feel
get
like it's a good
integrated
learning
into a big
experience for
company and a
others.
big leadership
Sharon,
program.
welcome to Effing Up.
What were
I'm
the struggles
excited
you
to chat
found
and
as an
learn about your
intern that
journey
summer?
and hear what you
Yeah.
considered as
So
effing up along the way.
probably
Thank you
like
for
one of
having
my
me. I would
biggest fuck
say
up,
there's been
but
a lot
also
of
like
fuck-ups along
maybe
the way,
identity
and
finding
I
moments
always
was
like to
at
share
the
because I
GE
feel like it's a good learning
internship. To this
experience for
day,
others.
and no, I think I'm the cringe
Sharon, welcome
associated,
to
but it
Effing
was
Up. I'm
bad. I
excited
thought
to
about it
chat
night
and
and
learn
day
about
for
your
years
journey and
and
hear what you
years. Got the
considered as
internship and
effing
was
up
like,
along the way.
this is
Thank you for
so cool.
having me.
Everyone was
I
like,
would
oh my God,
say there's been a
HRP
lot of
program. It's like their
fuck-ups
IT
along the
leadership
way, and
program.
I always like to
GE share
like
because I feel like it's
such a
good learning
big corporate
experience
entity
for others.
set. You're going to get this offer. It's going to
Sharon,
be
welcome to
bomb. I
Effing Up.
joined.
I'm
I'm
excited
21
to
years
chat
old.
and learn about your
I
journey
kind of blame
and
this
hear
on
what
them
you
too,
considered
because
as
like they
effing
put
up
us all up
along
in
the
a
way.
dorm.
Thank you
All
for
the
having
interns.
me.
There
I
was
would
IT interns,
say there's
finance
been a lot
interns,
of fuck ups
other
along the
management
way,
interns, and it was
always
just
like
a
to
big
share
party. It
because
was
I
super
feel like it's a
fun
good
all
learning
the time.
experience
And I
for
think I should have
others.
learned from college that I'm not good at
Sharon,
crazy partying and
welcome to
also
Effing
working
Up.
at the same
I'm
time.
excited
So
to
that's
chat
bucket
and
number
learn
one.
about your journey
Two,
and
we were
hear
only a
what you
45-minute
considered
ride
as
from New York
effing up
City.
along
So
the
we were
way.
constantly be going
Thank
to
you
the
for
city
having
all the
me. I
time,
would
having a good
say
time.
there's been a lot of fuck ups
Three,
along the way.
I realized very
And
quickly
always
that
like to
this was
share
way
because I
beyond
feel
my
like it's
skill
a good
set,
learning
but I was way
experience
too
for
embarrassed to
others.
say anything. I had a boss who was great at the
Sharon,
time. I
welcome
was
to
supposed to be
Effing Up.
coding
I'm
this
excited to
whole
chat
data
and learn about your
dashboard.
journey
Oh my
and
God,
hear
wow,
what
there's
you
like multiple
considered
fuck
as
ups in this
effing
story.
up
I've
along
forgotten
the
a lot of
way.
this.
Thank you for
Coding
having
this
me.
data
I would
dashboard, I
say
have
there's
no
been
idea
a
what's
lot
going
of
on.
fuck ups
And up
along
to
the
this
way.
point, I've
And
been able to do
always
enough
like to
Google
share because I
research. I
feel
feel
like
like
it's a
I'm
good
like a
learning
master of
experience
Google
for
and a
others.
master of being scrappy and putting things
Sharon,
together.
welcome
I've
to
been able
Effing
to
Up.
achieve
I'm
everything I've
excited to
wanted
chat and
to
learn
and
about your
needed to in the
journey and
past.
hear what you
But in this
considered as
situation,
effing up
I
along
could
the
not
way.
figure it out for
Thank
the
you for
life of
having
me.
me.
Like
I would
at
say there's
all,
been a lot
midway
of
through the
fuck ups along the
project,
way.
I've still
And
not coded one
always like to
line,
share because
and
I
I'm too
feel like it's
embarrassed
a
to
good
say
learning
anything. As like
experience for
time goes on, it
others.
gets worse and worse. To
Sharon,
add on to
welcome to
that,
Effing
this
Up.
was like a
I'm
blog
excited to
dashboard
chat
for
and
their
learn about
exec
your
team, for
journey
their
and
leadership.
hear
And
what
I'm
you
like, cool, I get
considered
to
as
interface
effing
with all
up
these
along
execs
the way.
and ask
Thank
them
you
what
for
kind of
having me.
metrics
I
are
would
important
say
and
there's
stuff.
been a lot of fuck ups
So I
along
sent
the
out a couple
way.
emails being
And
like, yeah, I'm
always
doing
like to
initiative.
share because I feel like it's a good learning
Immediately, I get a
experience for
million
others.
pings, phone calls, and emails.
Sharon, welcome to
Like,
Effing
oh
Up.
my God, I
I'm
can't
excited
believe
to
you
chat
just
and learn
emailed
about
the
your journey
VP
and
like
hear
of
what you considered as
XYZ
effing
division of
up along
GE.
the
Are
way.
you
Thank you
crazy?
for
This is
having
a
me. I would
disaster.
say
I
there's
am
been a
so
lot of
embarrassed.
fuck
I'm
ups
like, oh my
along the
God. And they're like,
way.
you should
And
know that you
always
don't
like to
talk
share
directly to
because I feel
them.
like
You
it's a
need
good
to
learning
email their
experience for
admin to
others.
admin, and it gets funneled up.
Sharon, welcome to
So
Effing Up.
that whole
I'm
thing was a
excited
big
to
blow up.
chat
I
and
was
learn
so
about your
embarrassed and
journey
not
and
good.
hear what you considered as effing up
Simultaneously, I
along the
got assigned a
way.
mentor.
Thank you for having
Great,
me.
this
I
person
would
has
say
experience,
there's been a lot of
and it
fuck ups
doesn't
along
help
the
that he's
way.
like
And
smart and
always like to
hot and
share
just
because I feel like
amazing.
it's a good learning experience
Very
for others.
distracted. I am very distracted at this point. I'm
Sharon,
already
welcome
doing a
to
poor
Effing Up.
job. My
I'm
mentor
excited to
and I
chat
end up
and learn
having a
about your
small thing.
journey
He's
and
only like
hear what you
24, so he's not that
considered
much
as
older than me,
effing up
but
along the
he's a
way.
lot older.
Thank
We
you
end
for
up having a
having me.
thing.
I
Try
would
not to share it
say
with
there's been a
anybody,
lot
but
of
it kind
fuck
of
ups along the
happened
way.
starting on this
And
train. We were taking
always
back
like
from
to
New
share
York.
because I
So
feel
a
like
couple
it's a
of
good
other
learning
people see it.
experience for
That's
others.
like, really bad to, I
Sharon,
guess, have a thing with
welcome
your
to
mentor.
Effing Up.
But then I'm
I'm
like, it's
excited
okay
to
because we're
chat
going to
and
be
learn
in
about
love and
your
it's going to be
journey
great and
and hear
everything's
what
going to
you
work out.
considered as effing up
Which,
along the way.
as you
Thank you
probably
for
can
having
guess by
me.
now,
I
that
would
was not the
say
case.
there's
So
been
long
a
story
lot
short,
of
that
fuck ups
fizzles
along
out.
the
I'm
way.
super
And
embarrassed to be in front of
always
him,
like
but
to
he's my
share
mentor.
because
He's
I
also
feel
on
like
my
it's a good
team.
learning experience
I'm
for
doing a horrible
others.
job on this project. So he's in all these
Sharon,
meetings where like
welcome
my
to
boss says
Effing
we
Up.
suck
I'm
basically,
excited
but in
to
a very
chat
nice
and learn
way.
about
I'm
your
going to do this big
journey and
presentation at
hear
the
what you
end.
considered
I
as
stumbled through
effing up
mine. It's a whole
along the way.
disaster. And I
Thank you
know
for
there is
having
no
me.
offer
I
to be
would
given.
say
I
there's
lied
been a
to
lot of
everybody
fuck ups
afterwards and
along the
said
way.
I got an offer,
And
but I decided to
always
turn
like
it
to
down
share because
because
I
I
feel
was
like
just
it's
like
a
way
good
too
learning
embarrassed to
experience
tell the
for
truth.
others.
Now I'm like, you know what? That's probably the
Sharon,
best thing
welcome
that's
to
ever
Effing Up.
happened to me
I'm
because
excited to
one,
chat and learn
I
about your
realized I did
journey
not like
and
the
hear
corporate
what you
world because I
considered as
can't believe I
effing up
emailed
along
somebody
the
and that
way.
Thank
caused
you
like
for
a whole
having me. I would
explosion.
say there's been a
Two,
lot of
I'm
fuck
not
ups
good
along the
at being
way. And
assigned
always like to share
projects
because I feel like it's a good learning
and
experience
not
for
really
others.
understanding like the overall picture of it. And maybe that's because we
Sharon,
were also in a
welcome to
big corporate
Effing Up.
entity. Like I
I'm
didn't really
excited
know
to
what I was
chat and
doing,
learn
didn't really
about your
understand the
journey and
importance,
hear what
and
you
it was this huge
considered as
project I was to
effing
take
up
on myself
along the way.
and was
Thank
just
you
too
for having me.
nervous to
I
ask
would
for help because it was
say
like a
there's been a
prestigious
lot of
ITLP
fuck ups
program
along the
and I was supposed
way.
to know what I was
And
doing. And
always
then
like to
three,
share because
like
I
this
feel
whole
like it's a
mentor
good
thing
learning
that helped me
experience
learn a
for
lot
others.
about do's and don'ts of the work world.
Sharon,
But yeah,
welcome to
so
Effing Up.
that
I'm
was a whole
excited to chat
disaster.
and learn about your journey
learn my
and
lesson
hear
there.
what you considered as effing up
You
along the
graduate from
way.
Thank you
UVA.
for having
You
me. I
head
would
to
say there's been a
Hitachi
lot of fuck-ups
Consulting.
along the way,
Did you feel
and
ready for
I always
the
like to
real
share because
world?
I feel like it's a good
For
learning
the corporate
experience for
environment
others.
that you had so desired?
Sharon, welcome to
Well,
effing
after
up.
G, I was
I'm
like, I
excited
still
to
want to do
chat
corporate,
and
but
learn
something a
about
little
your
smaller.
journey and
So
hear what you
Hitachi Data
considered as
Systems,
effing
still
up
huge,
along
but
the
their
way.
consulting
Thank you
sector
for
was
having me. I
relatively
would
small,
say
and it
there's
paid
been a
really
lot
well.
of
Fuck-ups
and
along the way,
because
and
I had
I
not
always
done
like
it
to
well
share
in
because
any
I
of my
feel
other
like it's a good
consulting
learning
interviews.
experience for
I was like, all
others.
right, I want to take this consulting.
Sharon,
When I
welcome
started
to
at
effing up.
Hitachi, did
I'm
not feel
excited
equipped for
to
the
chat
real
and
world
learn
in
about
the
your
sense of they
journey
don't
and hear what
teach
you
you like
considered as
what work
effing
is
up along
actually
the
like
way.
in
Thank
school,
you for
and the
having me. I
projects are
would
not super
say there's been a
representative
lot
because
of
to me,
fuck-ups along the
projects were
way, and
finite
I
things,
always
and
like
they'd
to
be like,
share
okay,
because
you
I
get
feel
it
like it's a
done,
good
you
learning
deliver,
experience
get
for
a grade,
others.
over. In the real
Sharon,
world,
welcome to effing up.
it's an
I'm excited to chat and learn
everlasting
about your
pile
journey and
building
hear what
and
you
building
considered as
and
effing up
building,
along the
and
way.
I would
Thank you
just
for
be like
having me. I would
constantly
say
working
there's
to
been
get
a
that
lot of
pile
fuck-ups
down,
along the
not
way,
realizing
and
that the more I
I always
worked,
like
the
to
more work
share
I was going to
because I
get,
feel like
and
it's a
it
good
just never
learning
ends, and you
experience for
have to give
others.
yourself that break.
Sh-
I also just
Sharon,
like was
welcome
not
to effing
prepared
up. I'm
for
excited to chat
life
and learn about your
admin and how
journey
to
and
deal with
hear what you
that along with a
considered as
job. During
effing up
school, I could
along the
do
way.
as much life
Thank you for
admin as I
having me.
needed
I
to
would
because I understand my
say there's been a
classes and
lot of
random
fuck-ups
time during
along
the
the
day,
way,
and I would deal with
and
my life.
I always like
And
to
as an
share
adult,
because
a
I
lot
feel
more
like it's a
life
good learning
admin and a
experience for
lot less time
others.
off. And
hard
Sharon,
to tell a
welcome
boss
to
when you do
effing
an
up. I'm
appointment
excited to
because
chat
it's
and
a
learn
little
about your
better now, I
journey
think,
and
but
hear
like
what you
back
considered as
then,
effing up
it was
along the
scary.
way.
I would
Thank
sit
you
there
for
like
having me.
trying
I
to
would
hit the send
say
button
there's
for
been a lot
hours
of
before I
hookups
could
along
just
the
say I'm going to
way,
the doctor
and
for 2
I always
hours.
like to share
I
because
hate
I
that.
feel like it's a good
Hated
learning
that.
experience
The
for
biggest
others.
struggle I had was really like,
Sharon, welcome to
wow,
effing up.
this is going to
I'm
be the
excited
rest
to
of my
chat and
life.
learn about
And
your
what's
journey and
the
hear what you
saddest part
considered
is,
as
and I know a lot
effing
of
up
people live this
along
life
the
and they're happy
way.
with it.
Thank you for
I was
having
not.
me. I would
My first project
say
was for
there's
the
been a
National
lot of
Archives
hookups
and
along
it
the
seems super
way,
cool,
and
but it was in
I
their
always
data
like to
center.
share because I
So
feel
it
like
was in
it's a good
like the
learning
basement
experience for
in College
others.
Park of Archives Part 2,
Sharon,
not the cool
welcome to
National
effing up. I'm
Archives.
excited to chat and
Basement,
learn about your
no
journey
windows,
and
no
hear what
cell
you
service,
considered as
desktop
effing up along
computer.
the way.
There was
Thank
10
you for
people
having
there.
me. I would
And
say
I
there's
just
been a
remember
lot of
after a couple
hookups
months,
along
I
the
was like, I
way,
already
and
can't handle
I
this.
always
I
like
have
to
to do
share
this till I'm
because I
like
feel like it's a good
65.
learning
That is
experience for
outrageous
others.
and just made me feel so
Sharon,
upset and
welcome to
depressed.
effing
I
up.
dreaded going
I'm
to
excited
work,
to chat
the
and learn
commute
about your
every day.
journey
People
and
say
hear what you
adulthood's great, but
considered
I
as
am not
effing up
seeing
along
that.
the
I am not
way.
happy
Thank you for
here.
having
But
me.
I
I
didn't
would
want to say anything
say
because I
there's
don't
been
want
a
to be
lot of
ungrateful. I have a
hookups
great
along the
job.
way,
I
and
can leave
I always like to
most of my
share
work at
because I feel
work
like it's a good
because it
learning
was like a
experience for
government
others.
project. I couldn't take it. And those were
Sharon,
before the days
welcome
of
to
all
effing
these
up.
tech
I'm
things we can
excited to
access
chat and learn about your
our remote
journey and
access our
hear what you
desktops on.
considered as
It
effing
was
up
just like
along the way.
traumatic.
Thank you
Like
for having me. I
feeling
would
like you're trapped
say
in
there's
this
been a lot of
room.
hookups along
Apparently
the
there were
way,
snakes
and
under the data
I always like to
center
share
because they
because I
like
feel
the
like it's a good learning experience
news,
for others.
in the warm like
Sharon, welcome
cords.
to
And
effing
it
up.
was just
I'm
like I
excited to
just
chat and learn
you
about your
know.
journey
So
and
that was
hear
probably
what
my
you
biggest struggle
considered
is
as
wow, I did
effing
all of
up
that to
along
get
the
to
way.
this.
Thank you
And
for
yeah, I'm
having me.
making good
I would
money, but is
say
it
there's
worth
been a
it?
lot of hookups
Mm.
along the way,
So what
and
drove you
I
to
always like
leave?
to
You were
share
there
because I feel
about
like it's a good
a
learning
year and a
experience for others.
quarter-ish, and you left for
Sharon, welcome
alarm.com.
to effing
What
up.
was
I'm
the final
excited to
tipping point?
chat and learn about your
Alarm
journey
reached
and hear
out
what you
and they
considered as
recruited me.
effing up
And at the
along the
time,
way.
I was
Thank
like,
you for
okay, this
having
seems
me.
like a
I
good
would
change.
say
It's a
there's
tech
been a lot
company.
of
Everyone's
hookups along
super
the way,
young. It's a
and
fun
I always
culture.
like
They
to
have a
share
really
because I feel
cool
like it's a good learning
office. It
experience
was a
for
job
others.
that required me to travel a lot,
Sharon,
and I
welcome
would
to
work
effing up. I'm
on
excited
corporate
to
accounts,
chat
but
and
on the
learn about your
technical side,
journey
helping
and
them with
hear
like
what you
technical
considered as
implementations and
effing up
projects for our biggest
along the
clients.
way.
So I was like,
Thank you for
this is
having me.
perfect.
I
Using
would
my technical
say there's
skills,
been
but
a
being
lot of
social, being
hookups
out
along
and
the way,
about, managing
and I always
clients.
like to
Let's do
share
it.
because I feel like it's
I
a
also
good
got
learning
stock options,
experience for
which was
others.
really exciting and fun. They just
Sharon,
reached
welcome
out
to effing
and it
up.
seemed like a
I'm
great fit.
excited to
Was
chat
that
and learn
a
about your
easier
journey and
ride,
hear what
or
you
did
considered
you
as
encounter
effing up
some struggles
along the
there?
Now
way.
I'm
Thank you for
realizing there's
having
been
me. I
struggles in
would
every
say
dimension of
there's
my
been a
life.
lot
I'm
of
like, is it
hookups
me?
along the way,
Alarm
and
started off
I always like to
really,
share because
really
I feel
great.
like
It
it's
was
a good
everything I
learning
wanted in a
experience
tech
for
company. It
others.
was fast paced. It was hands
Sharon,
off.
welcome to
It was
effing up.
fun. I
I'm
got to be
excited to
creative, wear a
chat
lot
and
of
learn about your
hats, do
journey
so
and
much
hear
travel.
what
Oh my
you
God, I racked up
considered as
status
effing
on
up
every
along the
airline,
way. Thank
every
you for having me. I
hotel,
would
made
say
more
there's been a
money
lot
than
of
at
hookups
Hitachi,
along the
saved
way,
even more
and
money
I always
because
like to
on the
share
road I got
because
to
I feel like
expense
it's a good learning
everything and just got
experience
to
for
eat and
others.
Mm.
drink like all over the country and
Sharon,
meet really cool
welcome to effing
people.
up. I'm
So I love
excited to
that
chat
element of
and learn
it.
about
The
your
travel did
journey
get a
and
little
hear
tiring
what you
after a while
considered
as
as
I got
effing up along
older
the way.
and I
Thank you
gained
for
so
having
much
me. I would
weight and I was
say
so
there's been a lot
lethargic
of
from like
hookups
eating and
along the
drinking
way, and
24/7.
I always like to share
And
because
I
I
was like,
feel
I
like it's a
just
good
can't keep
learning
doing this.
experience for
The
others.
Mm.
company culture
Sharon,
was also
welcome to
really
effing
tough.
up.
I think
I'm
it was another
excited to chat
situation
and learn
where
about your journey
it
and
almost felt
hear
like
what you
college part
considered
two.
as effing
Everybody
up
was
along
super
the way.
young,
Thank
all
you for
around my age
having me.
or
I would
younger.
say there's
The
been a lot of
execs were
hookups
all
along
old
the
white
way,
men,
and
very
I always
conservative.
like to
Now that I
share
think
because
about
I
it,
feel like
probably
it's a
like
good
over
learning
90% of the
experience for
company was women.
others.
Mm.
So back
Sharon,
then, not
welcome to
anymore.
effing up. I'm
I spent
excited
a lot
to
of time trying
chat
to
and learn
assimilate.
about your
It's
journey
also
and
very
hear what you
cliquey. And I think
considered
it's
as effing
sometimes
up
what
along
happens
the
when
way. Thank you for
a
having me.
startup
I would
starts really
say
small,
there's
it's
been
just
a
a couple
lot
of
of
people, they
hookups
become
along
super
the
close,
way,
all
and
that stuff. Then
I
it
always
like
like to share
explodes.
because I feel like
They
it's a good
scaled very
learning
quickly, and by
experience
the
for
time I joined was
others.
Mm.
at roughly 400, but
Sharon,
only about
welcome
maybe
to
100
Effing
on
Up.
the
I'm
corporate
excited
side
to
in the
chat
DC
and
area,
learn
the
about
rest
your
in Minneapolis
journey
and the
and
call
hear what
center.
you consider
And
as
so it still
effing up
felt super
along the
small,
way.
but there were
Thank you for
very
having
obvious
me. I would
clicks, and I worked
say
very
there's been
hard
a
to
lot
get into
of
them at
fuck ups
first,
along the way.
and then realized very
always
quickly
like
I
to
did not
share
want to be
because
part
I
of
feel
them.
like it's a
As an
good learning
example,
experience for
I
others.
went on a trip very early on.
Sharon,
Everybody was like, "Oh
welcome
my
to
God,
Effing Up.
that's so
I'm
cool!
excited
Like
to
they must
chat
love
and learn
you."
about your
With
journey and
this
hear what you
girl who's on my
considered as
team
effing
and
up
one of the
along the way.
execs.
Thank you for
I just
having
remember
me.
sitting
I would
out in
say
Atlanta,
there's been a
Georgia,
lot of fuck
and
ups along
there was
the
a client that
way.
met up with
And
us. Most of
always
our
like to
clients
share
were
because I feel like it's a good
security
learning
dealers
experience
and
for
home
others.
automation, like system
Sharon,
technicians
welcome
and
to
stuff,
Effing Up.
because
I'm
they would buy
excited to
our
chat and learn about your
database and
journey and
phone
hear what
app
you considered as
essentially, and like it was
effing up
white labeled
along
to
the
their brand.
way.
Thank you
So
for
we're selling to
having
them.
me.
We're sitting
I would
outside the
say
school
there's been
area
a
in
lot of fuck
Atlanta,
ups along the
and the exec
way.
and this
And
client are just
always like
talking
to share
so
because I
much
feel like
shit
it's a good
about the
learning
people in line
experience
waiting
for
for this
others.
club. The line was predominantly a
Sharon,
black
welcome to
crowd.
Effing Up.
They
I'm
were
excited
saying
to
pretty
chat
racist
and learn about your
comments, and
journey and hear
I
what you
just
considered as
couldn't
effing up
join in,
along the
but I
way.
also was too
Thank you for
scared to say
having
anything.
me.
I was
I would
pretty new.
say
They
there's
were
been
all
a lot of
laughing,
fuck
having a
ups
good
along the
time, and it just
way.
felt wrong.
And
But again,
always
I
like
just
to
sat
share
there
because I
because I
feel like
didn't
it's
want
a
to
good
voice
learning
it.
experience for
Over
others.
time, that theme goes
Sharon,
on and
welcome
on
to
and on
Effing
with
Up.
that
I'm
company. But
excited to
again, I'm
chat
not
and
just
learn
saying
about your
it's them.
journey and
I
hear
think
what you
that theme is
considered as
prevalent in a lot of
effing up
startup
along the
culture,
way.
especially
Thank you
because,
for
as
having
we've
me.
seen
I
through
would
data,
say
the
there's been a lot
majority
of fuck
of
ups along the
startups
way.
are
And
co-founded by
always like to
white
share
men.
because I
And
feel like
so
it's a good
sometimes
learning
it's hard
experience for
to
others.
instill a
Sharon,
more
welcome
diverse
to
and
Effing
inclusive
Up.
culture.
I'm
But I started
excited to
noticing that
chat
more and
and learn
more,
about
started
your
speaking up more
journey
and
and
more.
hear what you consider
Feel like I
as
got
effing up
exiled from the cool
along the way.
crew.
Thank you for
Was
having
very
me. I
sad.
would say there's
Then
been a
the
lot
Trump
of
election
hookups along
happened.
the way, and
I got
always
the
like to
luxury of
share
going
because
on
I
this
feel like it's a good learning
beautiful cruise for
experience
one
for
of our
others.
clients. It was like this
Sharon, welcome to
12-day
Effing Up. I'm
private
excited to
chartered
chat and learn
cruise
about
boat,
your
like
journey and
luxury,
hear
all
what you
suites,
considered as
hitting
effing
up
up along the
Barbados,
way.
Thank you for
Antigua,
having
all these
me. I
islands.
would
And I'm like, oh my God, my
say
job
there's
is so
been a
cool.
lot of hookups
Except
along
for
the
that, it
way,
was when the
and
election results were
always like to
announced.
share because I feel like it's a good
And I'm
learning
on this
experience for
boat,
others.
and this person I think is like
Sharon,
my best
welcome to
friend at the
Effing Up.
company.
I'm
We traveled
excited to
together.
chat
She's
and
like my
learn about
sales
your
counterpart
journey and
for all these
hear what
major
you
accounts.
considered as
Just ends
effing
up
up
turning on me.
along the
Everybody
way.
on the boat is a
Thank you
Trump
for
supporter.
having me.
Everyone's
I
like
would say
celebrating. It's
there's
a
been a lot
party.
of
I'm kind of
hookups along the
upset. There's a
way,
whole trip
and
and dinner, and
always
I
like
thought
to
she would
share
take
because
care
I
of
feel like it's
me
a
and
good
we'd
learning
help each
experience for
other.
others.
She explodes at me,
Sharon,
goes
welcome
back
to
to
Effing
work,
Up.
and
I'm
tells
excited to
everybody
chat and
that
learn about your
I
journey and hear what you
exploded at her on
considered
this
as
boat, which like
effing
doesn't
up
even make sense
along
because
the
like why would
way.
I explode
Thank
on
you for
this boat?
having
And
me.
started
I would
making up all these
say
like
there's been a
rumors,
lot
telling
of
people I think I'm
hookups
better than
along the
everyone because I'm a
way,
GVA
and
and that I think I'm
always like to
smarter than
share because I
everyone
feel like
and
it's a good
all of
learning
this stuff.
experience for others.
And unfortunately, a lot of people,
Sharon,
especially
welcome
those
to
who've been there
Effing Up.
longer
I'm
in her
excited to chat
clique,
and learn about your
believed her
journey and hear
without
what
even
you
knowing me.
considered
The
as
one like
effing up
little win I
along the
had from
way.
that,
Thank you for having
in
me.
that
I
like
would
her very
say
best
there's been
friend
a
that she
lot
cared
of
the most
hookups
about,
along
me
the
and her
way,
starting to become
and
good friends because we go to
always
the
like
gym
to
together
share
at lunch,
because I feel
came
like
to
it's
me
a
and
good
was like,
learning
hey,
experience for
I
others.
1000% know she's lying.
Sharon,
She has a
welcome
history
to
of lying.
Effing Up.
Everybody
I'm
knows that. So I
excited
don't
to
know why
chat and
everyone's
learn about
believing
your
her, but I
journey
believe
and
you.
hear what you considered
And
as effing up
I don't care what
along the
happens,
way.
like we're gonna
Thank
still
you
be
for having
friends.
me.
So
I
me and
would
her like
say there's
stayed
been a
friends
lot
throughout
of
that. It meant
hookups
so
along the
much to
way,
me.
and
Wow.
But
always
yeah,
like
that
to
was the
share
point
because
where
I
I
feel
was
like
like,
it's a good
okay,
learning
I think I want to
experience
do
for others.
something new. That was the
Sharon,
straw,
welcome
right?
to
Because there's a
Effing
lot
Up.
of other
I'm
Mm.
excited to
small
chat and learn about your
incidents. That one
journey
was
and
like the
hear what you
first big, I
considered as
have to make
effing
a
up
change. Like my
along the
first
way.
realization
Thank you for having me.
I
I
can't
would
keep going down
say
this
there's been a
path of
lot
into
of
this
hookups
company whose
along the way,
values I
and
don't
always like
truly
to share
believe
because I
in,
feel like
right?
it's a
Of
good
being
learning
very diverse,
experience for
inclusive,
others.
Mm.
supportive. Yeah.
Sharon,
Mm.
welcome to Effing Up. I'm excited
So
to chat and
you
learn about your
left, it looks
journey
like
and
it
hear what
was
you
just
considered as
about
effing up
4 years
along the
there,
way.
maybe
Thank you
just
for
a little
having
shy of
me.
4
I would
years.
say there's been a lot of
What was
hookups
next?
along the way, and
So I
always like to
left
share
Alarm
because I
for a
feel like it's a
company
good
based
learning
out of New York, a
experience for
startup,
others.
Mm.
and very early stages. And
Sharon,
I
welcome
was
to Effing
selected
Up.
to
I'm
be
excited to
the
chat and
like
learn about your
community manager for
journey and
DC.
hear
So they
what
were
you
trying to launch.
considered
It
as
was like
effing
a
up along the way.
Thank you for
restaurant
having me.
sales
I
and
would
marketing
say there's been a
platform, like
lot of
automated
hookups along the
AI,
way,
that whole
and
ordeal. This
always
is
like to
amazing.
share because
I
I feel
love
like it's a
restaurants and
good
bars. I
learning
have a lot of
experience for
connections through
others.
going to
Mm.
restaurants and bars in DC. I also
Sharon,
have a tech
welcome to Effing
background,
Up.
so I can
I'm
help with the
excited to
platform.
chat
I
and
want to
learn
do
about
it.
your
And
journey
so
and
got the
hear what you
job,
considered as
started out
effing up
loving it.
along the
Very
way.
quickly
Thank you
realized
for
it was a
having me. I
pure
would
sales
say
job, door
there's
to
been a
door
lot of
sales. I
hookups
had to
along the
go into
way,
every single
and
restaurant
always like to
and
share
sell to
because I
them,
feel like it's a good
chase
learning
them on the
experience for
phones
others.
Mm.
until they would pick up and talk to me
Sharon,
and
welcome
sell
to
this
Effing
thing.
Up.
And we
I'm
had to hit
excited
our
to chat
numbers.
and learn about your
Which again,
journey and
made me
hear what
realize
you
that sales was not for
considered as
me. That is
effing
too
up
stressful and I
along the
don't like to
way.
do that.
Thank you for having
Lasted,
me. I
I
would
think maybe 8
say
months
there's
or
been a
9
lot
months.
of hookups along the
Again,
way,
it was this
and
thing that just
always
didn't
like to
feel
share
right.
because I
We
feel
were
like it's a
taught
good learning
by the
experience
VP.
for
So the company was
others.
Mm.
owned by or
Sharon,
co-founded by
welcome to
this guy
Effing
and
Up.
his
I'm
dad,
excited
which
to
should have been like
chat
red
and
flag
learn
number
about your
one.
journey
But his dad
and hear what
financed
you
most of it.
considered as
And
effing up
he was
along the
basically the
way.
VP of
Thank you
everything,
for
but
having
mainly
me. I
sales.
would say
And he would
there's
give us
been a
these
lot of
scripts that we had to
hookups along
follow
the
that
way,
felt
and
so
always like to share because
forced,
I
and
feel
I
like
would
it's a
make
good learning
suggestions.
experience for
Again,
others.
startup
Mm.
culture, we all contribute, make things
Sharon,
better.
welcome
Nope,
to
no
Effing Up.
suggestions.
I'm
Got to run the
excited to
script.
chat and
He
learn
would
about your
watch and listen to
journey
all of our
and hear what you
recordings and be like, you didn't
considered
follow
as
the script.
effing up
You missed the part in
along
the
the
script.
way.
Like it was
Thank you for
very
having me. I
micromanaged.
would
And I
say
just
there's
got
been a
more and
lot
more
of hookups
stressed.
along the
And then he
way,
listened to phone calls and
and
he'd be like, you weren't
always like
enough
to
on that
share
call.
because
You
I feel
needed
like
to
it's a good
press some
learning
more to look for
experience
the
for
like
others.
Mm.
decision maker. And I was like, I
Sharon,
just can't
welcome
do
to
that. It's
Effing
so
Up.
stressful. And
I'm
he's like, he
excited to
didn't tell us to
chat,
lie,
learn
but he'd
about
be
your
like, just
journey,
tell them
and
you're
hear
from
what you
another
considered
restaurant
as
or you work
effing
with
up
that restaurant.
along
Don't
the
say you work
way.
for
Thank
that
you for
restaurant. Say
having
you
me.
work
I
with
would
this
say
restaurant
there's
that
been a
they
lot
know
of
about.
fuck ups
And
along the
then get your
way,
foot in the
and
door. You
I
got to
always
catch
like
them
to
by
share because I
surprise. And
feel
I
like
just
it's a
was
good
like,
learning experience for others.
so hated it. Simultaneously, I was
Sharon,
talking to him about,
welcome to
hey, I'm
Effing
not
Up.
doing good at the
I'm
sales
excited
thing.
to
Sorry,
chat
but I
and learn
also
about
thought
your
maybe I could
journey
grow into a
and hear
product
what you
position. Can I
considered
help
as
with
effing
product?
up
Like I have more
along the
experience
way.
there. I'm
Thank
more
you for
comfortable. I have
having
a
me. I would
lot of
say
ideas.
there's been a lot of
No,
fuck ups along the
didn't
way,
hire you to
and
do that.
I always
You're
like to
doing
share
sales.
because
I'm
I feel
like,
like it's a
okay,
good
great.
learning experience for
Started to like
others.
really poke around the product and was like,
Sharon,
okay, this is
welcome to
not
Effing
AI.
Up.
This is
I'm excited
everything
to
I'm saying is
chat and
essentially
learn
a
about your
lie. This is
journey
actually
and
all
hear what
done
you
manually
considered
by
as
an
effing
overseas
up
team.
along
A
the
lot of
way.
startups
Thank you
start
for
that way.
having
But
me.
it just
I would
felt like the
say
mission
there's
of
been
it
a
and
lot of
like
fuck ups along
the
the way,
forced
and I always
white
like to share because I
lies
feel like it's a good learning
of it just
experience
felt
for
like
others.
very bleh to me.
Sharon,
And
welcome
so
to
I didn't
Effing
want to
Up.
tell anybody
I'm
because everyone else
excited to
seemed super
chat and learn
sold.
about your journey and hear
Finally,
what you
kind of
considered as
mentioned
effing
something
up
to
along
somebody
the
at the
way.
company.
Thank you for having me. I
And
would
they were like, oh my
say
God, I
there's been
felt
a
the
lot
same
of
thing.
fuck
I
ups
just don't want to
along
say
the
anything to open
way,
this whole
and
can of worms
I
and we
always
sound
like
like
to
a whole
share
group of
because
us
I
that
feel
were
like
like,
it's a good learning
what in the
experience for
world? This is a
others.
disaster. We need to leave. And
Sharon,
so
welcome to Effing Up.
me
I'm
and the
excited
VP
to chat
battled
and
for a
learn about
bit
your
over everything.
journey
And I
and
was just
hear
like,
what
I
you
just don't know what to
considered
do.
as effing
And
up along the way.
he
Thank you for having me. I would
basically was just really
say
rude
there's
about
been
it.
a
And I
lot
wrote
of
a
fuck
bad
ups
review on
along the way,
Glassdoor. That was like
and
the first time
I
I've
always like
ever
to share
publicly
because
written
I feel
something. It wasn't like mean. It was more like, if you love sales and just want to make commission, this is a great job for you.
I'm excited to
If,
chat
you know,
learn
and
about
want to
your
have your own time.
journey
If
and
you
hear what
actually want to like be
considered
part of a
as
startup
effing up
environment
along
and
the
grow
way.
and build
for
and be an
having me. I
entrepreneur at
would
a company,
say there's
this
been
is
a
not
lot
good
of
for you.
fuck ups
There's
along
maybe
the
a couple
way,
other like
and
digs here and there,
always
but
like
it was
to
nothing
share
like
because I
super
feel like
bad.
it's a
He
good learning
responds
experience
on
for
it
others.
and writes this whole thing of, I know who
Sharon,
you are.
welcome
This is
to Effing Up.
absurd.
I'm excited to chat and learn
Then
about
I
your
find
journey and
Happied,
hear what
and
you
so I start
considered
working with
as
April
effing up
simultaneously.
along
So
the way.
my
Thank you for having me. I would
success
say
at this
there's
other
been a
company
lot
that
of
has
fuck
really
ups along
gotten
the
bad.
way,
I'm just like
and
barely making
always
ends
like
meet,
to
but I'm like,
share
okay, I'm gonna
because I
collect this
feel like it's a
paycheck
good learning
because I
experience for
deserve to just
others.
collect a paycheck because he's emotionally
Sharon,
torturing me.
welcome to Effing
So
Up.
I'm working with
I'm
April at
excited to
Happied. I'm
chat
also
and
working
learn
this
about your
job.
journey
One
and
day I
hear
just
what
get an
you
email and it's, you've
considered
been
as effing up
terminated.
along the
And
way.
nothing else.
Thank
There's
you
no
for
warning or
having me.
anything.
I
It's
would
like, you're terminated. You
say
didn't
there's
meet
been a
sales
lot
goals.
of
Like,
fuck ups
goodbye.
along the
Locked me
way,
out of
and
everything. And I was
always
like,
like to
you know
share
what?
because I
This
feel like
is
it's a
honestly
good
what should
learning
happen.
experience for others.
He ended up not paying me commission that
Sharon,
month, so
welcome
I
to Effing
argued.
Up.
I
I'm
submitted a
excited to
claim
chat
to
and learn about
DC,
your journey
and
and hear what you
great news,
considered as
they
effing
made
up
him pay me my
along the
commission
way.
double
Thank you
it
for having
because
me.
it
I
was
would
like, they were like,
say
he's in
there's
the
been a
wrong.
lot of
He
fuck
fucked up.
ups
He needs to
along the
double pay
way,
you. So I
and
was like, yeah,
always like to
got
share
you
because I
guys.
feel like it's a good learning
Further down the
experience for
line,
others.
other people start writing really negative
Sharon,
Glassdoor
welcome to
comments
Effing
because they're
Up.
starting to
I'm
realize some of
excited
this
to
stuff.
chat and learn
He
about your
goes on
journey and hear
and
what you
replies to
considered
all
as
of them
effing up
saying it's
along the
me.
way.
Thank
He's
you for
like, I
having
know
me.
it's
I
you,
would
Sharon.
say
Don't
there's been
listen.
a
This
lot
was the
of fuck ups
DC
along
rep
the
that was like
way, and
hurt
always
and
like
she
to
got
share because I
fired and
feel like
let
it's a
go
good
and she
learning
just couldn't
experience
accept it.
for
So she
others.
wrote all these comments.
Sharon,
And I only
welcome
knew
to
this because
Effing
my
Up.
ears
I'm
inside the
excited
company
to
and they're like,
chat
oh
and
my
learn
God,
about
he's
your
freaking
journey
out
and
trying to
hear
figure
what
out
you
why you're
considered
writing
as
these, what's
effing up
going on,
along the
who's
way.
giving bad
Thank you
reviews.
for having
If
me.
it was
I
me, I
would
would say it was
say
me, but
there's
it was
been a lot
not
of
me.
fuck
Like, I
ups
don't have
along the
time to
way,
waste
and
around like
always like
writing
to
these
share because I
reviews.
feel like it's a good
And I can
learning
see him
experience
constantly
for
looking at my
others.
LinkedIn page to see what I'm
Sharon,
doing.
welcome
From
to
that, I really
Effing Up.
learned a lot about
I'm
what not to
excited to
do
chat
in
and
a
learn
startup.
about
And
your
that's why there's a
journey
gap
and hear what you
because that just was
considered
a
as
whole
effing
like
up along the
debacle.
way.
And
Thank
to
you
be
for
quite
having
frank,
me.
I was
I would
embarrassed
say there's
that
been
I
a lot
made that
of
leap
fuck ups along
and
the
left the
way,
arm to do
and
that because
always
again,
like
I
to
just
share
cared so
because I
much
feel
what
like
I
it's a good
do
learning
less now, but I
experience
just
for others.
cared so much what other
Sharon,
people thought of
welcome
me.
to
So I was
Effing
like
Up. I'm
super
excited to
embarrassed.
chat and learn
So I was
about your
like, I don't want to
journey and
leave that
hear
until
what
I
you
find something
considered
else.
as
And I also
effing
don't
up
want to admit
along
that
the
I work
way.
for a company
Thank you
like
for
that
having
that I
me.
thought was
I
going to
would
be a really
say
good
there's been a
startup.
lot of fuck ups
So
along the
anyways,
way,
that's the
and
story of the 9
always
months.
like
Yeah.
to share because
So
I
in
feel like it's a good learning
2019,
experience for
fast forward
others.
to basically where we are
Sharon,
now,
welcome to Effing
you
Up.
reached
I'm
out
excited to
to
chat and learn about your
your
journey and
co-founder.
hear what
You
you
all
considered
started the
as
journey.
effing up along the
What were
way.
your
Thank you for having
thoughts
me. I would
about
say there's been a
entering the
lot of fuck
C-suite?
ups
I started
along the
out in
way,
the
and
part-time
always
sales
like to
role.
share
So I
because
never
I feel
even
like
like
it's a good
dreamed
learning
of being
experience
part
for
of a C-suite. I was
others.
like, I don't know enough.
Sharon, welcome to
I'm a
Effing Up.
leader. Like,
I'm
what am I
excited to
doing?
chat
I
and
also
learn
am new to
about your
startups.
journey
I've
and
never
hear what
taken
you
the
considered as
master's
effing up
class or like
along the way.
business
Thank
admin
you for
class in my
having me.
life.
I would
And so
say there's been
didn't
a
think
lot
about that
of
at all
fuck
at the
ups
beginning.
along the
Just kind of
way,
like kept
and
working
always
and
like to
did
share
me,
because I
which
feel
was
like
like
it's a good learning experience for
find
others.
things that are broken, fix them,
Sharon,
find
welcome
those
to
things to
Effing
be
Up.
done
I'm
better, do
excited to
them.
chat and
And
learn
so it was
about your
like truly
journey and
passionate because
hear
I
what you
always have all these
considered as
hobbies and I go
effing up
hard
along the
at
way.
those hobbies.
Thank you
And
for
that just became
having
such
me.
a
I
passion
would
project of
say there's
mine
been a
at
lot
the
of fuck
time.
ups along the
Again, more
way,
startup
and
drama.
always like to share
I feel like
because I
I'm
feel like
like
it's a good learning
full of all these
experience for
stories. So
others.
again, I'm always like, is it me?
Sharon, welcome
At
to
the time,
Effing
there was
Up.
also like a
I'm
part-time
excited to
CTO,
chat and learn about
COO.
your
So
journey
I
and
for
hear
sure
what
was
you
like, there's no
considered
position
as
for me in the
effing up
C-suite.
along the way.
Kind of
Thank you
nice
for having
man,
me.
very
I would
defensive.
say
He was
there's
like
been a
almost
lot of
40
fuck
and
ups
like
along
for
the
being almost
way,
40, very
and
immature, very
always like to
defensive,
share
but
because I feel
helped
like it's a
build
good
out
learning
Happy's initial
experience for
tech.
others.
The tech was a
Sharon,
freaking
welcome
disaster.
to
My
Effing Up.
co-founder
I'm
had
excited to chat and learn about your
no
journey
technical
and
background
hear what you
whatsoever. She's a lawyer
considered as
by trade,
effing up
and
along the
she's really good
way.
at marketing.
Thank you
So
for
the
having
copy
me.
looked
I
great,
would
the writing
say
looked
there's been
great,
a
lot
like
of
visual
visual
UI
UI
UX
UX
looked
looked
great.
always like
The
to
tech
share because I
behind
feel
the
like
scenes,
it's a
good learning
fucking
experience for others.
disaster. So I
Sharon,
finally
welcome to
get the
Effing
nerve
Up.
to talk
I'm
to her about
excited
it,
to
and I'm
chat
like,
and learn about your
I
journey and
needed
hear
to
what you
tell you because you're
considered
putting
as
money into
effing
this,
up
and he's a
along the
co-founder,
way.
and
Thank
the
you
money's
for
going through
having
his
me.
own
I
business.
would
It's a
say
whole
there's
slew
been
of
a lot
bad
of
things. I was
fuck-ups
like,
along
you're
the
being too
way,
trusting. I
and
don't think this is
always
right.
like to share because I feel like
Finally,
it's a
we
good
get the
learning
nerve to bring it up
experience
to
for
him, be like,
others.
hey, things need to be fixed. He was like
Sharon,
managing an
welcome
overseas
to
team. He
Effing
was like,
Up.
I don't
I'm
touch the code
excited to
myself,
chat
which
and
like,
learn about
again,
your
early startup,
journey
like
and hear what you
CTOs would be
considered
doing
as
the
effing
majority
up
of the code.
along
Doesn't
the
write any
way.
specs.
Thank you for
There's no
having me.
documentation
I
of
would
anything.
say there's
And I'm
been
like,
a
okay,
lot
I'll
of
start
fuck-ups
documenting
along
stuff.
the
So I just
way,
work
and
myself
always like to
towards,
share
you know,
because I
what I
feel
think
like
is
it's a
good,
good
not
learning
for anything
experience
personal.
for
Like I'm not
others.
expecting to be a co-founder by any
Sharon,
means. At
welcome
the
to Effing
time,
Up.
I just want to
I'm
make this
excited to chat
successful.
and learn
And
about your
again, a lot of it
journey
was
and
to
hear
like
what you considered as effing up
show
along the
everybody that I
way.
could do
Thank
it
you
and
for
not be a
having
fuck
me.
up.
I
Because a
would
lot of people
say
also
there's
like
been
were
a
like,
lot
why
of
are you
fuck-ups
doing this?
along
Go
the
back
way,
corporate.
and
And at the time, I
always
had
like to
interviewed for
share
some
because I feel
corporate
like it's a good
gigs
learning
and
experience for
just
others.
hadn't gotten them. I'm
Sharon,
horrible
welcome to
interviewing.
Effing Up.
Again, I was
I'm
way
excited to
shyer
chat and
also,
learn about your
and
journey
severe
and hear what
anxiety.
you considered as
Hated
effing up
interviewing and just
along the
felt like I
way.
had to
Thank you for
be this
having me. I
inauthentic
would
version of
say
myself.
there's
I'm
been
going
a
to
lot
stay
of
here
fuck-ups
because
along
I
the
haven't found
way,
anything else I
and
like
always
that
like to
wanted
share
me.
because
So
I
I'm
feel
going
like
to keep
it's a
doing
good
this and
learning
doing the best I
experience for
can. I was not
others.
making any money. So it was just
Sharon,
like
welcome to
passion.
Effing Up.
And
I'm
so
excited to chat
there was a
and
big
learn about your
explosion
journey
at
and
this event
hear
called
what
the
you
Emporium in
considered as
DC.
effing up
We had built
along
this
the
set.
way.
We had been
Thank
up
you
all
for
night
having me.
because
I
the
would
CTO
say there's
COO
been a
had
lot
said
of
he was going to
fuck-ups
build
along the
the
way,
set.
and
Nothing was
always
done
like
2
to
days
share
before.
because
So
I feel like it's a good
basically
learning
pulled 2 all-nighters
experience
to
for
do it. We're
others.
exhausted. And
welcome to
at the
Effing Up.
event,
I'm excited to chat. and
like
learn
he
about
did
your
not want to do
journey and
anything
hear what
workly.
you
He just wanted to
considered
like
as effing up
clap
along the way.
pictures, videos.
Thank you for having
and
me.
I'm just
I would
like
say
getting
there's been a lot
progressively
of
madder because I'm
fuck-ups
already
along
like
the way,
exhausted because he
and
didn't build the
I always
set
like
we
to
did,
share because I feel like
and
it's a good
that
learning
he wasn't doing
experience
any
for
work to
others.
make us money. And I think it was a
Sharon,
personal
welcome
exhaustion
to
too.
Effing Up.
If we
I'm
don't
excited
do
to
something with
chat
a
and learn
startup,
about your
I'm gonna have to go
journey
back to
and hear what you
corporate and
considered as
or
effing
start
up
over, and I just
along
don't
the
know what to
way.
do. So it
Thank you for
has to be
having me. I
successful,
would
and everybody
say
needs
there's
to
been
put
a
in
lot
their
of
share.
fuck-ups along the way,
So I
and
slip and I
I
say
always like to
something,
share because I feel like
and
it's a good
he
learning
blows up at me and
experience
is
for
like, "You want to
others.
fight? You want to fight me?" And I'm like,
Sharon,
"No, I don't
welcome
want
to
to fight you.
Effing
You're a
Up.
grown
I'm
man."
excited to chat and learn
April,
about
Mike,
your
now co-founder,
journey and
steps
hear what
between
you
us, and she's like,
considered as
"You gotta
effing
stop.
up
This is like
along the way.
unacceptable."
Thank you for having me.
We
I would
basically let me go
say
after
there's
that.
been a lot
So
of
then it's me and
fuck-ups
her,
along the way,
and
and
I pretty much
I always
become her
like to
right
share
hand. I'm
because I
just
feel
like
like it's a
working
good
my
learning
ass off. We're like
experience
doing
for
everything we
others.
can to get off the ground.
Sharon, welcome to
And
Effing Up. I'm
then
excited to
when
chat and
COVID
learn
hit, we
about your
started with our
journey
like
and
virtual
hear what
happy
you
hour
considered as
series, and then we got
effing
into
up
corporate
along
happy
the
hours, and
way.
we got into like
Thank you for
kits,
having
all
me.
that
I
stuff.
would
And throughout
say
that
there's been
process,
a
I was
lot
like,
of
"Hey, look,
fuck-ups
I
along
think
the
without
way,
me, there
and
pretty much
I always
also
like to
wouldn't be a
share
company.
because I
Just
feel
like
like it's a
there
good
would be no
learning
company without
experience
you."
for
So I
others.
think it makes sense for me to step
Sharon,
into an
welcome to Effing
executive
Up. I'm
position.
excited to
And she
chat and
agreed,
learn
and
about your
so we became
journey and
co-founders,
hear what
and
you
now we're
considered
fully
as
in this
effing up
new
along the way.
platform
Thank you
software
for having
space
me. I
where
would
we were both together
say
when
there's been a lot
the
of
idea was
fuck-ups along
founded.
the
So
way,
it
and
definitely
I always like
feels
to
a lot more
share because I
natural to
feel
be
like
in
it's
this
a good
space because I
learning
do feel like an
experience for
expert. I do
others.
feel like a true like part of it.
Sharon,
Before I
welcome to
felt a little
Effing
bit
Up.
like,
I'm
this
excited
is
to
like still
chat and
her
learn
thing I'm
about
just
your
working
journey
on.
and hear
But
what
now I
you
feel truly
considered as
like part of the
effing
like
up along the
exec
way.
team.
Oh,
Thank you
that's
for
an
having
intense
me. I would
experience.
say
Yeah,
there's
there's
been a
also a lot
lot
more to
of
that story.
So
fuck-ups
you're
along the
about,
way, and I always like
you're
to share
nearly a
because I feel like it's a
decade
good learning
out of
experience for
college.
others.
Do you feel
Sharon, welcome to
successful?
Effing Up. I'm excited to
Yes,
chat and learn about your
most,
journey and
and
hear what
this is
you
a feeling
considered as
that came
effing
to
up
me
along the
more
way.
Thank you for
so like
having
this
me. I
year,
would
really. I
say
feel
there's
like
been
for
a
a
lot
long
of
time
fuck-ups
we
along the
weren't making
way,
money at
and
Happy.
I always like to
We
share because I
were
feel like it's a good learning
struggling
experience for
financially.
others.
I had left my corporate
Sharon, welcome to
gig
Effing Up.
for
I'm
something I thought would
excited
be
to chat
successful
and
and
learn
just
about your
wasn't showing
journey and
positive
hear what you
signs.
considered as
COVID
effing
changed
up
that.
along the
Then I started
way.
thinking
Thank you
like,
for having me. I
this
would
isn't my
say there's
creation
been a
still.
lot
This is
of
COVID's
fuck-ups along the
creation.
way,
Like we made the
and
best we
I
could
always
with
like to
COVID
share
and
because I feel
imposter
like it's a good
syndrome
learning
sets in. And I'm
experience
like,
for others.
oh my God, everything's a mess. We
Sharon,
finished that
welcome
first
to
year with
Effing Up.
300K.
I'm
I'm like, oh my
excited
God,
to
we finally
chat
got
and
to make
learn
some
about your
money.
journey
The
and
next year we
hear what
finished
you
with over $1
considered
million
as
in
effing up
revenue, and I'm like,
along the
all right,
way.
we get to
Thank
take
you
a
for having
paycheck.
me. I would
The year
say
after
there's been
that,
a
we
lot
get
of
into
fuck-ups along the
Techstars,
way,
and we
and I
raise our
always like
first
to
round of
share because I
fundraising,
feel
I
like
guess
it's a
this
good
year.
learning experience for others.
And it wasn't
Sharon,
until we
welcome to
raised
Effing
our
Up.
first
I'm
round,
excited to
I
chat
started
and
feeling,
learn about your
wow, I can't
journey and
believe
hear
we've
what you
gotten
considered
this
as
far.
effing up
We have
along
a
the way.
team of
Thank you for
full-time
having me. I would
members.
say there's been a lot of
April and I are
fuck-ups
paying
along
ourselves
the
a
way,
salary.
and
Granted,
I always like
I
to share
basically made
because
the
I feel
salary
like it's a
like
good
right out of
learning
school. Okay,
experience
maybe
for
a little bit more, but
others.
with inflation, basically the salary I made out
Sharon,
of school.
welcome
It's
to
been a
Effing Up.
decade,
I'm
and
excited to chat and learn
I
about
feel
your
like by now I
journey
could be
and hear
making
what
so
you
much more money.
considered
So
as effing up
financially, I
along the
don't feel
way.
Thank
successful,
you for
but
having me.
just
I
in
would
all other
say
ways,
there's
I
been a lot
feel
of fuck-ups
very
along the way,
successful. I
and
gave
I
up
always
this
like
like
to
stable
share because
corporate
I feel like it's
journey
a good learning
to
experience
start
for
this company,
others.
which is now operating. Like
Sharon,
we
welcome to
are
Effing Up.
paying
I'm
people, we're
excited to
hiring and
chat and
paying
learn about your
employees, which is
journey and hear
awesome.
what you considered as
We've
effing up
built
along
something
the
that a
way.
lot of
Thank you for
companies
having me. I
love
would
and
say
need,
there's
and
been a
we're
lot
building
of
something
fuck-ups
that I
along the
consider
way,
is
and
good for
I
the
always like
world.
to
But I
share
never
because
wanted
I
to
feel
work for
like it's a good
something
learning
that
experience for
negatively
others.
contributed.
Sharon,
We're building
welcome
a
to
work
Effing Up.
environment that
I'm
I,
excited to
again,
chat
maybe
and learn about
biasly
your
think is
journey
very
and hear what
healthy. I
you
try to instill
considered
as
as
the
effing
learnings
up
from
along the way.
places I've
Thank you for
hated
having
working
me.
for
I would
or didn't
say
believe in
there's been
their
a lot
culture
of
values, and
fuck-ups
we try to
along the
instill all
way,
those things in
and
Happy
I always
every
like to
single
share
day.
because I feel like it's a good learning
And
experience for
I
others.
finally am at peace with
Sharon, welcome
myself
to
and
Effing
being
Up.
being able to be
I'm excited
authentic
to
and
chat
working
and
somewhere
learn
where I
about
can
your
truly be
journey and
myself,
hear what you
which just
considered
takes
as
off a lot of
effing up
stress,
along the
and
way.
I can
Thank you for
work a lot
having
better
me.
because
I
I'm
would
not like
say
constantly
there's
freaking
been a
out
lot
about
of
if I'm
fuck
being
ups along the
portrayed or
way,
I
and
accidentally said a bad
always like
word
to
or
share
something
because I feel
happened that
like
I
it's a good learning
regret. I just feel
experience for
uncomfortable. So
others.
it's like this
Sh-
upward
Sharon,
spiral of
welcome
good.
to Effing Up.
And it
I'm
also probably
excited to
helped
chat
that I
and learn
started on
about your
SSRI.
journey
So
and
I
hear
think
what you
that kicked
considered
off
as
this whole,
effing
I'm
up
feeling
along the
successful
way.
path.
Thank you for having me. I would
For
say
purposes
there's been a
of
lot of fuck ups
clarification,
along the
what
way,
is
and
SSRI?
always like to share
It's
because I
called
feel like it's a good
Lexapro.
learning
It's for anxiety
experience
and
for
depression.
others.
How would you
Sharon,
define
welcome to
success?
Effing Up. I'm excited to
It
chat and
used
learn
to
about your
be
journey and
purely
hear what
defined
you
by
considered as effing up
financial
along the way.
stability.
Thank you for
Mm.
having
Now
me.
I feel like I
would
do have a new
say
definition,
there's
which
been a
is
lot
maybe
of
why
fuck
I
ups
feel
along the
successful. It's
way,
about being
and always like
truly
to share
happy
because I feel like
every
it's a good learning
single day.
experience for
And
others.
again,
Sh-
SSRI maybe was
Sharon,
helpful,
welcome
but
to Effing Up. I'm
I have
excited
also
to
just
chat
made
and learn
it
about your journey and hear what you
like a
considered as
must
effing up
that
along the
I
way.
do
Thank you
things
for
that make me
having me.
happy every
I
day,
would
whether it's work or
say
not.
there's been a
If
lot
there
of
are
fuck
times
ups
during my
along the
workday I
way,
am not
and
feeling work
always like
or
to
I'm
share
not
because I
productive at
feel like
all
it's a
because
good
I'm just
learning
staring and
experience for
can't think of
others.
things or getting super
Sh-
anxious, I'm like,
Sharon, welcome
no,
to Effing
fuck
Up.
that. I'm
I'm
going to go
excited
walk
to
around
chat
outside
and
or I'm
learn
going to
about
read
your
my book or I'm
journey
going to
and
play a
hear what
game
you
for a while.
considered
And
as
then when the other
effing up
times on the weekend,
along
I'm
the
like, I feel
way.
like
Thank you for
working or
having
I'm
me. I
bored.
would
I
say
should
there's been
work.
a lot of
I
fuck ups
should just
along the
do whatever
way,
makes me
and
happy.
always like to share because I
And
feel like it's a good
of
learning
course, I'm
experience for
fortunate in that I'm my own boss and I can do those
Sharon,
things.
welcome
But
to
yeah, I
effing up.
just think it's
I'm
really defined
excited
by
to
day-to-day
chat and learn about your
happiness. And I do
journey and
everything I
hear what
can
you
in work and
considered as
life to
effing up
do that.
along the way.
Thank you for having me. I would
Looking back,
say there's been a
what
lot
do
of
you
fuck-ups along
point
the
to
way,
as the
and
lowest point
I
in
always
your
like to
career?
share because I feel like it's a good learning experience for others.
Mm.
Ooh, that's
Sharon,
really
welcome to effing up.
tough.
I'm excited to
I
chat and
felt
learn
like
about your
there's so
journey and
many
hear what
little
you
points,
considered as
but probably
effing up
joining that
along the
startup in New
way.
York.
Thank
I
you for
felt like
having me.
every
I
day
would
was a drag.
say
I
there's been a lot of
hated
fuck-ups
genuinely
along the
what I
way,
was doing.
and I
I
always like to
hated
share
going
because I
door
feel
to
like it's a good
door
learning
and
experience for others.
forcing myself and
Sharon,
not being
welcome to
welcome in
effing up.
places
I'm
because I was
excited to
that
chat and learn about your
salesperson. I
journey and
hated
hear
being
what you
reprimanded by my
considered as
boss
effing up
constantly and not
along the
doing a
way.
good job.
Thank you
I
for
hated
having
feeling like
me.
I
I
had
would
to lie
say
about
there's
things.
been
I
a lot
hated
of fuck-ups
having to
along the
pretend to
way,
all my
and
friends and
I
family
always
that it
like
was
to
going
share because I
great
feel
and
like
that
it's
it
a
was a
good
great
learning
decision I
experience
made.
for
I hated all of
others.
it.
Sharon, welcome to
If
effing
you
up.
could go
I'm
back and
excited
speak
to
to
chat and learn
your
about your
college
journey and
age
hear what you
self,
considered
what
as
advice
effing
would
up
you share?
along the way.
Thank you for having me. I would say there's
This
been a
sounds like
lot
really
of fuck-ups
cheesy,
along the
but
way,
chase your
and
dreams.
I always
Don't
like
give
to
a fuck
share
what
because
other
I
people
feel like
think
it's a
about
good
you.
learning
That was my
experience for
biggest thing that
others.
has led me
Sharon,
to a lot of
welcome
my
to
low
effing up.
points. It was just
I'm
like
excited
caring
to
way
chat
too
and learn
much
about your
about how others
journey and
perceive
hear what
me,
you
about
considered
how
as
I need to
effing
portray
up
myself
along the
to look
way.
like a
Thank you for
successful
having me. I
individual
would
or a happy
say there's been a
individual
lot of
or
fuck-ups along the
XYZ instead
way,
of what
and
actually
I always
makes
like
me
to share
happy.
because I feel
And
like
who
it's a good
cares?
learning experience
Nobody
for
cares
others.
about your life. Not in a mean way, but
Sharon,
I'm always like,
welcome to
oh, people
effing
are
up.
dwelling
I'm
so much
excited to
about
chat
me and
and
like,
learn
why
about
is
your
Sharon like that or
journey and
not
hear
doing
what you
well? Nobody
considered
cares.
as
They only care
effing
about
up
themselves.
along
So
the
even
way.
when I say
Thank you for
something
having
and
me.
I
I would
mess up or
say
I
there's
give
been
a
a lot of
presentation that
fuck-ups
bombs
along the
or I
way,
do a bad
and
job,
I always like to
no one
share
cares.
because I feel like
No
it's a
one's
good
gonna
learning
remember. It's gonna be
experience for
fine.
others.
And that's something that took me
Sharon, welcome to
way
effing
too
up. I'm
long.
excited to
And
chat
I
and learn
am
about your
very grateful to
journey
my
and hear what
husband
you
for
considered as
helping me
effing up
get better at
along
that.
the
He will
way.
do
Thank
whatever
you for
he thinks
having
is
me.
right.
I
He'll
would
say whatever he
say
thinks
there's
is
been a
right.
lot of
So
fuck-ups
confident.
along the
So I've slowly
way,
started to
and
learn that.
I always like to share because I feel
We're
like
going to
it's a good
jump
learning
into some rapid
experience for
fire
others.
questions. What's your
Sh-
path not
Sharon,
taken?
welcome to effing up. I'm excited to chat and
Being
learn about your
a
journey and hear what you considered as
researcher, but
effing up
specifically
along
for
the
cat
way.
Thank you for
sciences.
having me. I would say
I know
there's
that's
been
like
a
weird.
lot
I
of
really want to get
fuck-ups
like
along
a
the
cat
way,
science
and I always like
PhD.
to
I
share
don't know if
because I
that's
feel like it's a good learning experience for
I like that is
others.
my dream. I'm like, if this happy
Sharon,
thing works
welcome
out and
to
I can
effing
retire
up.
in a few
I'm
years,
excited to
I will
chat
get
and
a
learn about
PhD
your
in cat
journey and
sciences.
hear what
Like,
you considered as
I know this
effing up
sounds like a
along the
crazy
way.
cat
Thank you
lady,
for
but
having
like,
me. I would
I am
say there's been a
obsessed
lot of
with my
fuck-ups
cats.
along the way,
I am
and
obsessed
I always like to
with
share because I feel like it's a good
how
learning
they've brought me
experience for
so much
others.
happiness, and I think they're a big
Sharon,
part of
welcome
who I
to
am today.
effing
So I
up.
would love to
I'm
like
excited to
understand
chat and
them
learn
and
about your
really connect
journey
with
and
them.
hear what you considered as
If you
effing up
could switch
along the way.
jobs with
Thank you for
anyone,
having
it
me.
might be
I
a
would
vet at this
say there's
point.
been a lot of fuck-ups along the way, and I
That's
always like to
tough.
share
I don't
because I
know.
feel like it's a
At
good
this
learning
point, I'm like, I
experience
don't
for
think I would
others.
switch jobs with
Sh-
anybody. I
Sharon,
do dream a
welcome
lot
to effing
about
up. I'm
what I'm going to do
excited to
after
chat and
Happied
learn
other
about
than
your
like cat
journey and
scientists
hear what
or
you
in conjunction
considered
with
as
cat scientists.
effing up
And I really
along
would
the
love to
way.
be in the
Thank you for
shoes
having me.
of
I would
an
say there's been a
investor.
lot of fuck-ups along
I
the
think
way,
it would be
and I always like to
amazing
share
to be able
because
to
I feel like it's
invest
a
in
good
all these
learning
brilliant
experience for
ideas
others.
and see and imagine what the future
Sharon,
would look
welcome
like
to
with them.
effing up.
And
I'm
plus, this is
excited to
another thing
chat
of
and learn
success
about
for
your
me
journey and hear what
is
you
I
considered
don't
as
want
effing up
other
along
women
the way.
Thank you
entrepreneurs,
for
especially
having
in
me. I
tech,
would
of color,
say there's
to
been
go
a lot
through a
of
similar journey
fuck-ups
I
along the
have. So
way,
I think it would
and
be awesome
I
to be
always
an
like to
investor
share
and be
because
able
I
to
feel like it's a good
specifically
learning
focus
experience for
on
others.
funds
Sharon,
that
welcome to
support
effing up.
diverse
I'm excited to chat
peoples.
and learn about
What
your
is an
journey
item on
and
your
hear what you
desk that you
considered as
cannot live
effing up
without?
along the way.
Thank you for having
There are
me.
many
I would
items.
say there's
Let's
been a
see.
lot of fuck-ups along the way,
Um,
and I always like to
First
share
thing I could
because I
think
feel
of
like it's a good
is
learning
this
experience
very
for others.
fast gaming
Sharon,
mouse
welcome to
essentially,
effing
and
up.
I
I'm
use it
excited
for
to
work
chat and learn
purposes
about your
because like
journey and
I am the
hear what you
most impatient
considered as
person in the
effing
world.
up along the
I
way.
am
Thank you for having
basically
me.
like
I would
trying
say
to
there's
become
been
a
a lot of
robot where I'm
fuck-ups
so
along the way,
efficient and
and
so
I always like
fast
to share because
that
I
I'm
feel like
just
it's a
like
good learning experience for
going, going,
others.
going. way. And so if I have a slow mouse
Sharon,
ever, it
welcome to
drives me
Effing Up. I'm
crazy.
excited to
Like the
chat
speed
and
of
learn
this,
about
this
your
is like,
journey and hear what
you
you
barely move your
considered as
hand and the mouse
effing
like
up
slides
along
across
the
the screen.
way.
Everyone's always
Thank
like,
you for
no,
having
what's
me. I
happened? I
would
can't find the
say
mouse.
there's been a
But
lot
like
of
this is
hookups
like
along the
prized
way,
position on
and
my desk.
I always like to
Cannot
share
work
because I
without
feel like
it.
it's a good learning
Really
experience for
important
others.
to peak efficiency.
Sharon, welcome to
Remote or
Effing Up.
in-person
I'm
work?
excited to chat and learn about your journey and hear what you considered
Remote
as
for sure.
effing
I
up
love being able
along
to
the
work where I
way.
want. I
Thank you
think
for
that's
having me.
one
I
of the
would
best
say
things
there's
about
been a
remote
lot
work,
of hookups
especially
along the
when I don't have
way,
to prove to a
and
boss that
I
I'm
always
working
like to
hard
share because I
remote
feel like
because I
it's a
am
good
the
learning
boss.
experience for
Because
others.
I love to travel, and
Sharon,
I actually do
welcome
the
to Effing Up.
best work
I'm
while I'm
excited to
on
chat and learn
planes
about your
and at
journey
airports
and
because
hear what
I
you
hate
considered as
flying.
effing up
What
along the
is a
way.
word that
Thank you for
drives you
having me.
nuts?
I would
There's a
say
bunch,
there's
but
been a lot
probably
of hookups
synergy.
along the way,
What
and
actor
I always like
would
to
you
share
have
because I feel like it's a good
play you in
learning
a movie?
experience for others.
Oh, that's tough.
Sharon,
I don't know.
welcome to
I mean,
Effing Up.
like, the
I'm
first thing that
excited
comes to
to
mind
chat
is
and
maybe
learn
like
about your
a
journey and
comedian
hear what you
or somebody
considered
who's
as
like
effing up
a little all
along the
over the
way.
place
Thank
and
you for
not
having
totally
me. I would
PC. I
say
think Ali
there's been a
Wong would
lot
be
of
super
fuck
cool.
ups
I know she
along
doesn't
the
really act
way,
a lot, but I
and
love her
I
stand-up
always like to
stuff.
share
Fun
because I
energy,
feel like it's a
right?
good learning experience for others.
Which company on your
Sharon, welcome
resume
to
has
Effing
made
Up. I'm
recruiters
excited to
see
chat and
you
learn
as
about your
most
journey and
attractive?
hear what you considered as
Quite
effing
honestly,
up
I don't think
along the
any of
way.
them. To
Thank
be
you for
quite
having
frank,
me. I
I
would say
will be the
there's been a
first to
lot of fuck
say
ups along the
getting
way,
that first job
and
out of
I
school,
always like to
easy
share because I feel
peasy,
like it's a
all the
good
way. I
learning
think because I went to a
experience for
great
others.
college, I had an engineering degree,
Sharon,
especially a
welcome
woman
to
in
Effing Up.
engineering.
I'm
I
excited
could
to
talk to
chat and
people
learn
pretty
about your
well. I think it made
journey
me
and hear what you
a
considered as
valuable
effing up
candidate. And
along the
so
way.
after
Thank you for
that,
having me. I would
I just thought I
say
would
there's
sort
been
through
a lot of
interviews.
fuck ups
Really did
along the
not.
way, and
A lot
I
of
always like to
resumes,
share because I
no
feel like it's a good
responses. I think
learning
the market
experience for
also changed a
others.
little, right? Because became more of an
Sharon, welcome
employer's
to Effing
market.
Up.
So
I'm
I kind of
excited
blame
to
that
chat
too.
and learn
But
about your
yeah,
journey
I
and hear
feel
what
like
you
people never
considered
were
as
like, wow,
effing up
that's such a cool
along the
company,
way.
or wow,
Thank you
that's
for
so
having me.
interesting.
I would
I think
say there's been
Happied
a
will
lot
be
of
that.
fuck ups
It's
along the
crazy to
way,
think about
and
everything I've
I always
done at
like to
Happy
share
compared
because
to
I
what
feel
I
like it's a good
did
learning
for the rest of
experience
my
for others.
careers. I raised a bunch of money.
Sharon, welcome to
I
Effing
got
Up.
named in
I'm
Forbes Next
excited to chat and
1000.
learn about your
I
journey and hear
had
what
a
you
whole
considered as
team, and
effing up
literally, if it
along the
fails, I
way.
still did all these
Thank you
really
for
cool
having me.
things.
I would
So I'm
say
hoping
there's been
this
a
will
lot
help
of
turn
fuck
heads.
ups
And
along the
also, if I
way,
do go
and
back to
I always
corporate
like to
and
share
even do
because I feel like it's a
consulting, I
good
hope
learning
that people
experience for
can say like,
others.
this candidate who literally
Sharon,
started
welcome
a
to
company
Effing
from
Up. I'm
scratch
excited to chat
is
and learn
probably
about your
going to be a better
journey and hear what
candidate
you
than someone who's
considered
only
as
worked at
effing up
consulting forever.
along the way.
I'd
Thank you
like
for
you to
having me. I would
label 3
say
of your
there's been a lot
jobs:
of fuck ups along the
love,
way, and I
ultimate
always like to
fun,
share because I feel like
or
it's a good learning
skip.
experience for
I think
others.
alarm.com because it was like my
Sharon,
first
welcome to
into
Effing
this
Up.
tech
I'm
world. We
excited
had
to
this
chat and learn
oxygen
about
room
your
and a koi
journey and hear
pond
what
and
you
beer on
considered as
tap.
effing
And
up
I
along the
PO'd while I
way.
was there.
Thank you for having
Mary
me. I would
is
say
happy.
there's been a lot of
Skip would
fuck ups along
definitely
the
be
way,
the
and
company in New
I always
York.
like to share because I feel like it's a good
Sharon,
learning
thank you
experience
so
for
much
others.
for sharing your story with Effing
Sharon,
Up.
welcome to
And I
Effing
know
Up. I'm
listeners
excited
will
to chat and
enjoy
learn
hearing
about
your
your
story
journey
and
and hear
also
what you
learning that,
considered as effing up
again,
along the
success
way.
is a
Thank you for
journey.
having me. I
It's
would
not
say
overnight,
there's been a
it's
lot
not
of fuck ups
immediate, and
along the
it's not
way,
a
and
checkbox.
I always
Success
like to
today
share
may
because
not
I
feel
feel
like
like it's a good
success
learning
tomorrow.
experience for
So
others.
thank you so much for
Sharon,
your time
welcome
and
to
being
Effing Up.
here.
I'm excited to
Thank
chat and
you.
learn
This
about
was
your
a fun
journey and hear
experience.
what you considered as
Thank you for
effing up
listening to
along
today's
the way.
episode
Thank you
of
for having
Effing Up.
me. I
I'm
would
your host,
say
Deanne
there's been a
Reiner.
lot of fuck
If
ups
you
along the
enjoyed today's
way, and
episode and
I
you'd
always
like
like
to
to
help
share because
support
I
the
feel like it's a good
podcast,
learning
please
experience for
subscribe
others.
on the platform you use to listen
Sharon,
to podcasts.
welcome to Effing Up.
Share
I'm
Effing
excited
Up
to
with
chat and
others.
learn about your
Post
journey
about it on
and hear
social
what you
media
considered as
and
effing
or
up
leave a
along the
rating
way.
and review.
Thank you for having me.
Until
I would
next time,
say there's
count
been a
your
lot of fuck
perceived
ups along the
failures
way,
as part of
and
your
I
path
always
to
like to
success.
share because I feel like it's a
After
good learning
all, we're
experience
all
for others.
effing up.
Sharon, welcome to Effing Up. I'm excited to chat and learn about your journey.